Africa. Stand up, Africa. Stand up, Africa. No more Baka.
Stand up, Africa.
No more
Baka. Stand up, Africa.
Stand up and fight for the Muslims. Ethiopia free you. Fight the administration. Oh God, we see you. United can destroy us.
We have to say as Africans, as Ethiopians, Somalians, Sudanese, Kenyans, Cameroonians, Mozambique, Mali, Niger, South Africans, Uganda. Oh, say no more. We say no more. We say no more. Yes.
With what's right, black, yellow, brown, or white. Africa unite.
Africa unite.
We have one vision.
We have one vision. No modern colonization.
Africa unite. No more division. We have one vision. No modern colonization. No modern colonization.
No more Baka.
Stand up, Africa.
No more Baka.
Stand up, Africa.
No more Baka. Stand up, Africa.
No
No
more.
more Baka.
Tess, I was away for a while. I was distracted.
Welcome to the mat. Welcome to the party.
Thank you all.
Let's
I
go.
appreciate it.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We just
Yeah.
beginning. We're just beginning.
Warm greetings. Warm greetings to you all from Somalia.
We're just beginning. Sadiq, we're just beginning. All right. Okay. Just wait until we give the mic to speakers. We're just simply bringing speakers up.
Who is fighting established through democracy? Who has made peace with its neighbors? Who has been an ally to the US in the Horn of Africa? Who has fought terrorists in the Horn? I can't hear it. Who's fighting terrorists in the Horn? Who continues to fight terrorists in the Horn? Who has become freedom in Africa? Who has been a free nation in Africa? And we will continue to be a free nation, Ethiopia. Free nation, Ethiopia.
Free nations Somalia. Free nations Kenya. Free nations Uganda.
Say it loud. Say it loud. I can't see the green, yellow, and red flags. Lift it up. Lift it up. The beautiful flag. Lift it up. Raise it. Who is fighting to establish a true democracy in Africa? Who has made peace with its neighbors? Who is the free and the first free nation in Africa? Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. I can't hear you say it again. Ethiopia. 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 Let's repeat it again. Who is the free nation in Africa? Who is the
Wonderful brothers and sisters, we want actually not just simply a country per se, but we want it, and we want to still actually working for a free Africa, nothing short of that. A free Ethiopia is not enough, a free Somalia is not enough, a free Djibouti is not enough. It is the whole of Africa, a free Niger, a free Nigeria, free South Africa, not enough. We may have said, and we may have been persuaded that Colonization has ended, but neo-colonization is still here. Now we find ourselves between hard rock and the hard places and hard rock, brothers and sisters. Tribalism versus Pan-Africanism. Are you the idiots? One of the idiots, not in a curse way. Are you one of the tribesmen or as a citizen? Today we are going to have actually a thorough discussion. Later on, actually, keynote speakers will come and join us. But until then, the idea is, where do you find yourself? Where do you fall? Are you among the idiots? The idiots doesn't mean it's in a curse way. It's a Greek philosophy. I know you may disagree or agree that splitting the society or a community or mankind for that matter into these three pigeonholes, the idiots, the tribesmen, and the citizens. Who are the idiots? The idiots are the don't care, the ones who don't care. So long as actually they pocket it, so long as actually they benefited from the system, they don't really care about others. They are self-centered. They think about themselves day in, day out, whatever actually butchered out of it, regardless of the change of government, regardless of the neo-colonialism. It doesn't matter. So long as actually they benefit, they still actually go in bed with everybody, with anybody. They don't care. They don't give a damn. These are the idiots. Unfortunately, actually, the minority of them, the minority in Africa, the majority in Africa, actually, we see those who are greedy, self-centered, self-ego idiots. Not in the normal cursing manner, friends. But then there are actually tribesmen who cannot see beyond actually the pigeonhole where they come from in terms of what they have been told. Actually, this is my ethnic group, this is my clan. Anybody and everybody outside that clan or that tribe group is out. They would not consider that as a human being. There is no humanity there. The only person they can associate with, belong to, is that tribe's pigeonhole. Without that clan, that's a clan actually. But fortunately, we have citizens rising above all this, who care about others. Unfortunately, actually, just as this is in a minority, particularly in Africa, whether you agree or not, actually, the 90% composed of the idiots and the tribesmen is only actually 10% citizens. Now we have actually a strategies to bring both the idiots and the tribesmen towards being citizens, having responsibility to look at beyond actually the immediate benefit or these egocentric attitudes, or in fact the pigeonhole they find in their ethnic origin or clan origin for that matter, which is actually creating havoc now in Somalia, as it did actually in Ethiopia, as it is doing actually in Mozambique, as it is doing in Chad, as it is doing in Cameroon, as it is doing actually in Nigeria, countless places in Africa. So why? So why? Where do you find yourself? Now, having said this very brief, I'll come back actually to it later on as well. Then it is a challenge for us. There is a tug of war now, as far as I can see, between Pan-Africanism and tribalism. In between, we have actually idiots. Where do you fall? Do you agree with this analysis in the first place as just simply a focal point, or as a framework for us to have a reasonable discussion as Africans? We need to acknowledge our problems before actually we go further and then in fact actually try to find solutions. Brothers and sisters, how do you find this analysis? How do you find this analysis? How happy are you to have in Africa, in Somalia, in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, in the Sudan, wherever actually that, in South Africa, Nigeria, Chad, Niger, Mali, Gabon, Zaire, Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Zambia only 10% of the people actually being citizens who are responsible, and the rest either actually we are pigeonholed as tribesmen or the idiots, the greedy, the self-centered, those who live just for themselves, regardless of the color of government. They go to bed with all of them, so long as actually they pocket it. They don't care. They don't mind. They break the rules as they wish and as they will. Where do you fall? You personally, where do you fall, brothers and sisters? Is this a true analysis? Shall we start actually by taking some ideas from the group? What do you think of this? We'll come back actually to the specific application of this in different countries. We can take some examples from Somalia. Who are actually these idiots in Somalia? Who are these actually tribesmen in Somalia, in Ethiopia, in Sudan, in Nigeria, South Africa? Who are these idiots? Who are the citizens? Can you give me examples of all this? Let us apply. If not, there are ways, in fact, to deal with the idiots and the tribesmen to bring them actually to that level of citizenship. First of all, let me give actually the mic to my two co-hosts, Kid and Bez, in fact, to say their piece on this, and then we give the mic to the other speakers. As usual, the modus operandi in this particular space is, first of all, if you are a listener, you can be promoted by requesting to a speaker status. You can speak. Later on, we will have actually keynote speakers. They will have actually longer time compared to actually the rest of us, understandably. And then once actually you become a speaker, co-host and hostess, and the host and the co-host actually will bring you up to a speaker, then make sure actually that you raise your hand so that we can follow that. Mike is yours, brother Kid.
Thank you, Tess, as usual. I like the energy, I like the vibes, and it's currently it's a very important issue to identify the problem of tribalism and why we benefited from Pan-Africanism. It's not that in each country equal in Africa. We do have internal problems. We do have some of it might be related to tribalism, but we're gonna have to ask a question: why do we have those problems? For example, in Somalia, to be an example, it's just one tribe, but people are sometimes are divided into fighting each other within a clan. Where is that problem idea came from? I mean, if you see it on the bigger picture, actually, those problems actually introduced by the Westerners or the so-called colonialists. And the reason they give us this problem because they want us to be divided. So if in each country, whether it's Ethiopia, Sudan, in Somalia, Kenya, wherever we had this issue, if you really think about where these problems have come from, because people have lived together for centuries and without any problem, why those problems is real now and why we're fighting and why we're destroying each other. If you think about it, this problem actually initiated and created by the Westerners because they don't want the united Africa. So they divide us into small groups. They divide us into a small a tribe. They divide us into a small country and territories, so that our unity will not come true. Because if we are united, if we are staying together, we'll be strong. So we won't be falling into their traps. So tribalism benefits the elites. There are people, as Tess said, who benefit from that, but those are the selfish individuals. So what I'm trying to say is Pan-Africanism. Let's identify our problem. Pan-Africanism actually give us the strength to solve our problem for actually for to solve our problem and just put Africa in a prosperous path. So what I would say is, I think Pan-Africanism is the way to go. But we have a problem internally in each country. I mean, we can go by and identify it, but most of our problem are initiated and introduced by the West and our colonial, those colonialists. So that's what I would say. I would yield the mic to the co-host Beth. Beth, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good day, everyone. So good to see you, Tess. Thank you so much for choosing a very important topic and creating this space. As always, you're amazing. So I'm here to learn most. I was just looking at the document you shared, which is very interesting. In my view, I knew there were many type of people in this earth in regards. Have never seen such document that puts them in very specific categories and shows their difference and how we can come together. So I'm so excited to talk about that and learn more from everyone and the key speakers, both speakers. In my view, I believe I belong in the citizens camp, and I would love to continue to be in the citizens camp because I am a Pan-African, and I am not just for Ethiopia, for Africa and all Black people. We come first in my book, and Tess, I'm here to learn more than in the beginning, more than contributing, and at the end, maybe I'll put my learnings together and say more. But as always, Tess, we always have these things that we create, which allows us to also campaign at the same time. So I just wanted to remind people of that. And so thank you so much, Tess, and everyone.
Thank you very much. It is indeed a delight and an honor, in fact, to have really able and passionate co-hosts. We are all actually as a team. It's just simply what Twitter actually has given us, a name host and co-host. But we're all actually the same. Those of you who are not, in fact, hosts and co-hosts, we've taken actually the responsibility of organizing this, but you're all, without you, to be honest with you, there is no host, there is no co-host. Without us, there will not be any impact space at all. Therefore, I think it is vitally important when you have people of caliber, but again, actually, integrity coming here actually to discuss. Sometimes actually we have to challenge ourselves. To be honest with you, where am I? Where am I? Am I really an idiot, or have I been actually an idiot for such a time? So the disadvantage of actually the rest. Do I really care? There are so many people who don't care. The fact that actually you're a PhD, a professor, or for that matter, actually one of the wealthiest person doesn't make you actually any good person unless otherwise actually you yield. Are you a true citizen? Do you really cross the red light willy-nilly? Do you care? Do you care about other people without being asked? That's actually the citizen, which we definitely actually lack. So to have actually people of caliber as speakers, plus also actually hosts and co-hosts, that really matters. So thank you very much, both Kid and Bez. I think J Twitter is here. He was supposed to co-host. He will definitely actually later on. Then I will give actually the mic now to Sadiq. Sadiq, actually, you have this burning desire to contribute to this discussion, and then I know actually that you come from Somalia. Could you just apply it? Sometimes actually if we tend to be superfluous. Do you agree in the first place to a degree? This actually sums it up in terms of actually, giving a framework for our discussion. And then how can you apply it in Africa in general and Somalia in particular? Brother, mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Tess, to the co-hosts and my fellow participants. Warm greetings to you from Somalia. It is a pleasure for me to be able to address this very important platform. I will start by creating some context at continental level, and then I will briefly speak to the situation in Horn of Africa. And finally, I will suggest how can we ensure Pan-Africanism prevails over tribalism. My fellows, I want to take you back to about 137 years ago in Berlin Conference 1884. Our fellow African journalist Patrick Gadara wrote an article in 2019 which he titled Remembering the Conference That Divided Africa. In that article, there is a very important paragraph which he talks about how this colonialism, that division in 1884, how it stands today and keeps us in different tribes. This is the paragraph which really impacted me in my thinking. This is what he says. Despite achieving independence for the most part of the 1950s and 1960s, many African countries have continued along the destructive path laid out in Berlin. Former Tanzanian President Julius Nyerere declared, quote, "We have artificial nations carved out at the Berlin Conference in 1884, and today we are struggling to build these nations into stable units of human society. We are in danger of becoming the most balkanized continent in the world. Ethnicity and tribalism continue to be the bane of African politics." End quote. Then the article continues to say these very important lines. The Berlin Conference was Africa's undoing in more ways than one. He says the colonial powers superimposed their domains on the African continent, and by the time independence returned to Africa, the realm had acquired a legacy of political fragmentation that could neither be eliminated nor made to operate satisfactorily. My fellows, this tells us that the lines drawn in that Berlin conference by 14 colonial representatives have today continued to haunt our continent. Now, coming from Somalia, a country that has seen the pain of these colonial lines, which have divided my people over the years, and to this day haunting us, I want to briefly address the situation in Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa, for the first time in 150 years, is now seeing some integration, coming together. Thanks to our leaders, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, President Mohamed Farmajo, and His Excellency Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea. They came together in 2018 to declare a joint cooperation between these three countries. Now, allow me to address what I think is the suggestion as I give to our participants to ask their questions and also add their comments. The way I see how this Pan-Africanism can prevail is that us coming together, rejecting to be divided across borders, and coming together to say no to imperialism and divide and rule. Thank you. Back to you, my fellow.
Thank you very much, actually, Sadiq. A wonderful quotation. Following the Berlin conference, which led to the scramble of Africa. The saddest thing in that meeting was, as conference was, Africa was not actually part of it. When your cake is eaten, you're not part of it. When people actually come to your land, you're not allowed to be on your land. Could you believe that? You made, in your absence, actually, they made actually the decision for us. Now, may I ask actually the following, the next speakers. Now, okay, Berlin conference, the scramble for Africa. What is today? What is today? What are they really doing right now? Probably when this the Berlin conference is scramble for Africa, and then after that, following the colonization, the demarcation actually they have given us. Now they are coming actually individual countries. They are actually just tribalizing it. How true is this? Is this my assertion? Is this just simply my observation? Have I lost actually the plot, or is there something actually truism in this? The Berlin conference actually has given us actually the scramble of Africa in its current shape. I saw actually a friend of ours, Igo. She's Igo. She's when I asked her actually, which country are you? She said, I am both Kenyan and Ugandan. because her mother's side is on the one side and her father's side is on the other hand. It's an artificial boundary. So another girl who is say to her, well, I'm in Kenya, but I'm South Sudanese. But why? Who made actually that demarcation for them? As a Somali guy who is actually living in Ethiopia, or for that matter in Kenya, I'm phoning you Tess and Abdurrahman, I'm Somali. And then he's actually that he finds actually himself there, all the demarcations for that matter. Now, coming actually to the Somali, say in the Somalian setup, why are the West actually encouraging such sectarianism, by the way, sectarianism and clannish approach? Why? Is this actually the wish and will of the Somali people? Is this the Somali people? Just please actually reflect on this. When the tribal the tribesman definition the definition is actually given by the Greeks. Uh, it includes not only ethnicity but also religion. They want actually to devise us actually by religion as well. Now, is this your observation too? Is it really happening actually in Africa? Have they stopped? That's not scrambling now, fragmenting actually Africa. To what avail? Is this to our advantage if we go actually the tribal way? Now I'm giving actually the mic to our brother Jatwitter. Mic is yours, brother.
Well, I'm in the middle of inviting people up. Would you pass me for a few minutes, and then I'll get back in a few minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know you do your job properly. Benson, brother, mic is yours.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Oh, you don't see me over here, like, patiently waiting?
Actually, the black was before Benzan, so let's give him the chance, please, Benzan, and we'll come back to you.
Yeah, let the black go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Please, brother.
All
Good
right.
morning, everybody, brothers, sisters, warriors, kings, queens, whoever you may be, wherever you are around the world. And Bez, thank you for the invite, especially. I just wanted to speak on the topic entirely, tribalism versus PanAfricanism, and just elaborate the disappointed nature I have coming into a new year, because the objective here is to quit the divide, and we don't want to have these topics with the verse initiative in between. There's too much confusion already being pumped through the media that we can't get along with one another. And we continue to feed into the propaganda. If we truly expect to resolve our issues in our community, it's going to take more initiative and effort and a positive mindset to avoid the division. We have to identify things that divide us, and we have to stop playing into the game. I understand a lot of us are very misguided, miseducated, and misinformed about the reality of our motherland and who we are as people in the United States and around the globe. My challenge for everybody that understands these problems is to truly turn the new leaf. Stop trying to identify the problems and individually start correcting them. Unity is an effortless free program. We don't have to spend the most money to do this. We just need to show love in the best form possible to one another and let everybody know we have each other's back. We don't have any solid foundation. We don't have any reliability, and the trust is at 9%, if not 1% right now. We need to restore it at least to 60 to get the initiative moving forward. We can no longer identify people who aren't behind us. It's time to just gather the people, tell the respected leaders this is what we expect from them, and move our objective progressively forward. We cannot do what we did all last year and the year before and 50 years back to 100 years back and think this is going to put a solution in the air for us. We can't. I don't want us to continue to spend this type of time constructively identifying more and more problems. Can we please reach a point progressively to just unify entirely across the globe. Like I'd get on my knees if I could in front of CNN News and do it in front of everybody if I had the power to, because this is the only thing we need to do right now in order to make everything else work. Tell everybody it'll be okay. Stop blaming the next person and give them encouragement, empowerment, and enlightenment that we can be better tomorrow. And I'm going to leave it there.
Well, this is actually the basis of actually unity, but I think you have to have some responsibility for us actually to go. The unity is actually the mother now. When we are separated and going actually our own way in a tribalist manner, exactly it defies the purpose. That's why we're struggling, to be honest with you, knowing the norm, as you say, the unity being actually, the right thing actually to do, but actually, are we there yet? Are we even actually on the course? So this is actually where we need to start. So it's not an individual; it is a system that we should be actually fighting against. Benson, brother, I thought actually I gave you the mic to you. Just carry on, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a very, very important topic to talk about, because this is one of one of the hindrances we have as Africans. And sometimes it even pushes me to ask, like, me as an African, I say, what is going on? What is wrong? Even in this topic, I would add like xenophobic. Like, for example, what we see, we have some ugly stories, some ugly events on African continents, even among ourselves. Very recent, you remember what happened in South Africa. That wasn't okay. You know, if you are Ethiopian, if you are Nigerian, if you are Congolese, if you are from Uganda, you happen to be in South Africa, you go there, you follow economic opportunity, like a Chinese, like American, like you name it. Why in the world an African would target another African? So maybe should we blaming this to the West, to the colonialism, or to the lack of education? Is it really education? Because some of those prominent politicians who are well educated, whether in Europe or in Africa or in America, some of them instigate the tribalism. Some of them, they start pointing fingers saying, oh, you don't have a job because the Nigerian is here. You don't have a job because the Somali is setting up a shop here. You don't have a job because a Ugandan is there. So you name it. The same would go in Nigeria, where you would see, okay, in Nigeria is screaming, saying, I don't have a job because a Ugandan is setting up shop here. So I don't know, where do we start? If I could wish to have something, is to continue to talk about this. Where is this why do you have this disconnection? Then sometimes also, like as you said, we go and this conference 18 something, when they divided up Africa without Africans, then when they handed us Africa, what are we doing? You see, if you could go, for example, Sudan, now have south of Sudan, what is going on there? Where is this disconnection? Those guys who are fighting for power in Sudan, they are educated, they are doctors, they know the tribes, they know that's not to advance a Sudanese who doesn't know to read, who doesn't know how to count, who doesn't know even who or she is. Those are people who should be our ears. Those are people who should be our mouth. Those are people who should represent the basic African who doesn't know who or she is. But yet they are the ones who are racing to explain, I had to kill this, I had to kill that because of that. I had to rush to explain why Oromo person had to be marginalized. I had to rush to explain to UN. I had to write a good tweet to UN explaining why a Tigray is bad, why Oromo or Amhara blood is insignificant. Where is this disconnection? Where should we start? So this is a big topic. Many people have many views. This is probably something we can talk on. See where do we have, where do we start? Why do we have this disconnection? Should we blame everything to the West? Should we take some responsibilities? If so, how do we understand? Because to me, it doesn't make sense where people choose to run to Europe looking for economic opportunities when you have this vast, rich continent and the organizations like African unions, all these powerful African governments, all these educated Africans, they don't see this as a problem. This is a problem. And that's why the West is coming and taking over. They're even coming and taking our land. They're even coming over and taking our ports. Read news, not in where you came from, but everywhere in Africa. This is not a fight for Ethiopia or the Horn for Africa. I'm glad there are so many people from all corners. All of us, we can spread a good word. I mean, good message, not to be buried into these tribes, ethnicity. These don't advance us. When a Chinese come to Africa, do you ask him or her who she is or who he is? When a white man is on Africa, do you know whether he's from America? Who is the white man from America? They all came from where? Europe. They all immigrated here. But they come to Africa, they are Americans. And they do business as Americans. But for us, or are you Oromo? Are you Igbo? Are you Yoruba? Are you Amhara? Are you Tutsi? Are you name it? I don't know. Maybe the more we talk about it, maybe we can start learning and selecting what really value to us to move the whole continent, all of us together forward, So anyway, thank you. I yield the mic.
Thank you very much, Benson. In fact, you have put a question as well, actually, for us to answer. I know how this is a riddle by itself. There's always actually a debate to put the blame of underdevelopment, or for that matter, economic or political laggardness to either the external forces or internal forces. Those who don't want actually to talk about the impacts of the West, I can give you good examples why actually they have really imposed. I mean, the white supremacy is still actually working on. They don't want actually to touch because they have some associations, and then particularly if they are idiots because they don't care about the people, not in the in a curse manner, but in the way this is defined actually here, because so long as actually they pocketed, they benefited, they have actually millions and billions actually in the West. They loot and then they don't care, so they really work together actually with the West. But I can take you back earlier on. Our brother Sadiq from the Somalia, he went to the Berlin conference, which led to the scramble of Africa, but it's still actually maintained. In fact, further fragmentation has been practically, as a matter of policy, have been pursued by the West to further actually to segregate us even on a clan basis. Why are they supporting? Now, those of you probably actually lived or are still living like myself actually in the West. Have you ever noticed them really encouraging actually tribal tribalism in say, for instance, the UK, or for that matter, actually in Europe or United States of America? Have you ever come across? Why are they supporting actually this tribal lines actually in Africa? I'm just asking a question. So thank you, Benson, as usual, actually, for your really wonderful contribution that holds water. I'm going to give actually the mic
Would you,
to our brother,
sorry,
to our
Tess,
brother Wanda Wasonga. Arya, please. Is this
You're right.
is this Bez?
And, okay, thank you
Okay.
so much. I'm addressing this team from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm looking at this topic, tribalism versus Pan-Africanism. Then there are a number of questions that range in my head. That when I look at Pan-Africanism, it's an idea where people of an African origin or people of African descent, that having a common interest will now want to hold together, get unified, and move to at least propel the Africanism cut across. Then I look at tribalism as a fact of being organized in a tribe or tribes. Then I try to look into the history of Africa. Did we have tribes before? Then the answer is yes. That you look at these kingdoms, they were organized in tribes. You look at everything. I mean, most of our working, even before the political boundaries, were tribal based. But we're having problems with our tribes, then the answer becomes a no. And therefore, the problem that we're having actually is not the tribes or being tribal. The problem that we are having, that a Western person came in and planted in us, is using the tribe itself as a tool of making people dividing people actually, so that you will easily divide them and rule over them. Therefore, being tribal it's not a problem, actually not a problem at all. Identifying yourself as I belong to this community, it's actually not a problem. But looking at that community B as a lesser of a community, as a lesser of individuals or as human beings as compared to your community, then that's where the problem comes in. And it becomes a bit funny that the problem was coiled into patriotism. That I was laughing to myself when we started this show. We had a very nice Ethiopian version song that was singing, who started this? Ethiopia. Who started this? Ethiopia. The same problem. It's not a bad song, actually not bad. But the problem that is eating Africa, and that I saw it, and we all saw it happening in South Africa, is that mindset that we are better than this other group. That mindset that we should be at this level and not this other group, it's the one that is killing us. If I look at an African Renaissance, the revival of Africa, then I look at a structure, I look at a team that is ready to teach our people, this is where the rain started beating us. And this is what we should be doing and not be doing. It reminds me of a racial supremacy theory, that a white man comes in and tells us that in the order of racial superiority, the white should come first, I don't know, the Arabs or who, then the black person should come last. I was asking my students the other day, if I present to you a black person, then I present a white person, whom do you think is smarter than the other? Then all of them told me, a white man is smarter than a black person. Then I started, from that point, this is what clicked in me. Someone has planted the racial supremacy in these kids. And remember this, it is just a theory. And a theory, unless it's scientifically proven. And therefore, when I look into what is eating us down, like you look into what was happening in the South Africa, the xenophobic attack, the problems is not actually from outside. The problem is from within. The problem is not the very special elites person or those that are educated to a certain level, but the problem is with we people are in a position to tell this one is right and this one is wrong, then we fail to take a role of imparting the same knowledge to the generations as they grow. That you look at tribalism as you look at tribalism in itself, then you realize it starts at a family level. We tend to make our kids grow knowing our community, our tribe is better than theirs. Then why don't we start it at a family level? We start teaching these kids that a way of speaking does not define a person. A way of speaking only identifies a person with a certain group, but it's not a qualification. This person is good or this person is bad. How many persons quarrel at a family level? Leave out now the tribalism. These are persons related by blood, only to get that help from a friend who is not even now a tribe mate, or in any case related by either thing. But the kind of upbringing that this person had, that you grow knowing there is a human aspect, so you need to be human. You need to act like a human. Therefore, going forward, this is what I wish we should be doing. One, let's start facing the reality. Tribalism or being tribal is not bad, but stick to what is good with your tribe. Teach our people, teach these kids their culture, their tribes, and everything. But let them start loving the others. Let them realize that we are all created. We are all created by one God. We are living under the same one Son. Therefore, we should not discriminate people based on how they speak, but instead we should start teaching our. Therefore, number one, we should start making our people realize that being negative on a person because they are speaking in a certain way different from ours, discriminating against a person because they are coming from a certain country and not ours, then it's wrong. The same case, and some of these kids or some of our people tend to discriminate against because they have never been told how bad it is to discriminate a person. Therefore, we should start teaching our people. Then there's an humble request to the original mindset behind the African Renaissance. I wish we start coming up with a structure that will not lose the intended action. Because if we don't come up with a clear structure, we'll end up having these shows, then we'll not get where we want to get to. Therefore, I wish that we have a clear structure. We demarcate Africa as it is. Then we start having a discussion on how do we move forward the Renaissance? How do we move forward the coming to birth of Africa that we all wanted? An Africa that we all look at each other as brothers, but not as a Nigerian, not a Kenyan, not a Bajuni, not a Borana, not a Somali, and all those. I wish to stop from there. Probably I may talk later if chance.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Brother Wanda. I think from what you said previously and today, I guess, and I'm sure that you are from education sector, and how the curriculum actually has made even our own African children not to consider themselves, as able or what equal to actually their white counterparts. That's so sad, to be honest with you. How much of that has been actually inculcated over the years and over centuries. I leave it to you. I mean, you know it. But I think you have mentioned the beauty of actually there is no question we all have actually tribes, and that by itself is not a problem at all. But let me read out this one. Let me read this one out. I mean, in terms of why you know it should be actually an issue for us. Let me read this one out. The next set of people are tribesmen. These are the set of people that looked at everything from the point of viewpoint of their tribe. These are people who believe if you are part of their tribe, it can really be terrible to have a tribesman as a leader who would alienate the rest. The problem is not having tribals. That's my problem. We have lived actually, as you quite rightly said before. But the problem is when you bring a tribesman to rule a country with that hat on it, now he would definitely be discriminating. Think about that. The context in which this tribesman actually put is not to deny or to take away the good attributes of actually tribes as such. But if a man is coming at you with striped hat to exclude others, in fact, to the degree, as you know it from Germany as well, to exterminate others, that's actually where it comes actually a problem for us. So I think we have to make a clear distinction in my view. That has been actually a practice in Ethiopia over the last 30 years. We have seen it, how devastating it has been. Ethiopia is not by no means actually exception, by the way. I have been around actually to know, speaking to our brothers and sisters in Africa, it has been the case, whether actually like you are an Anglophone, you're an English speaker or a French speaker, they divide you and then they butcher each other. That's also by itself is actually tribesmen. So in the case of Cameroon, for that matter, you go to Nigeria. The last time actually, when I say they are going to go actually the ethnocentric way, once someone is imposed and then he or she is not ruling neutrally, considering every other. Now, for instance, in Nigeria, there are 250 ethnic groups. Now, depending on that's the smallest number, and then it can go to 400. In Tanzania, we have 150, but in India, we have actually over 2,000. Why do we have actually this parochial view of someone actually from this tribe? It serves exclusively actually from his tribe because he is there or she is there actually to govern for all. Is
You
that not
know,
the case?
Africa Unite, like speaking, everybody that I've heard, I'm coming from the United States when I speak. I'm actually located.
Excuse me,
No, I just want to.
excuse me. Unless actually we give you the mic, please. Actually, this is the rule. We will give you actually either the co-hostess and myself actually will give you. Thank you very much.
No, I
Okay.
understand. I told Bez in the DMs that I have to leave.
Okay. Can I give actually the chance actually
Yes.
to other speakers first? Actually, Johannes, please go ahead.
Did you say Johannes?
Because there's
Yeah.
a space that's created just starting in like 10 minutes, just to contribute before they leave. I know that hashtag has been waiting. They're both in the same team. If it's okay with you, please, we give them a chance. Hashtag and the black, please.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Bez. I
I
just wanted to take like 30 seconds and because I have to hold the space in 3 minutes for other Black people real quick. So I just
all right,
wanted
I'll let
to
you go.
thank you, brother. I just wanted to say, like, I've heard everybody's problem real quick and briefly. Communication is the issue. The communication is broken a million different ways. And I dropped in the Jumbotron my contribution to wanting to help. And it starts with having a formal conversation. So I'm challenging all the Black men in this room that if you want to be a part of the solution, take a look at what I've dropped in the Jumbotron. Shoot me a DM on how you can contribute or even attend the meeting because we could use one of you to speak on what's going on over there so I could address with you directly, face to face, eye to eye on what I plan to do to actually help bring a solution. And I individually plan on doing this with all communities, cultures globally, but I can't do it by myself. So send me a message and we'll talk about it there.
Thank you very much, brother. I think solution orientated. You couldn't stay actually longer because of actually your commitment, but absolutely actually that we look forward. Hashtag, please go ahead if you are joining the other group. Okay.
All right, bless. Yeah, like what Black Wolf saying, yeah, I'm trying to reach out too. So if you guys are into figuring out what's really going on in America, you could send me messages or follow me back. I'll follow y'all back too. I also just posted a link in the Jumbotron as you was just talking about the scramble for Africa. I was actually about to post it. So if you want to go on the video from this website, it's a history site. It is about America, but when you really check it out, it actually ties perfectly into what's going on in Africa and how we actually got to this state of affairs where we at now, where like what you say, the tribalism, where the separation.
I think the connection is bad, or is that just me, Tess?
I think the connection is bad. Probably he needs to correct. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it is. The article will show you that exactly what happened in America is exactly what happened in Africa. These colonial powers came and separated the people and made the people basically build the imperialist communities. And just when you check it out, you're gonna see what's going on. I appreciate y'all though. Much love to all y'all from wherever you're from.
Thank you very much. Hashtag, carry on.
Yeah, just simply, I just want to finish with this. Especially what you said about a person, you know, at a certain point in time, you could say a person was a mix of, like you said, a king of Africa. If you check how nature was working, you know, people would meet and commune and become tribes. But now, since the imperialism happened, you noticed that tribes basically are at odds with one another. So there's no mixing of tribes anymore. There's no new tribes being made from the mixing and migrating and infighting. Now it's just, well, my tribe. That's seemingly, if you go through the history of Africa, that's not how it always was. But since imperial times, how it became that. And if you really check it out from this article, it shows you it all started around the 1800s in Africa and in America. So I just wanted to drop that just to, you know, enhance the conversation with those points. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hashtag, it's beautiful. To be honest with you, the Ethiopian case, if I just simply give an example, it will be actually the same in Kenya. I gave you an example earlier on. But the Ethiopian case now, there is no pure Amara. If you see actually the intermarriage over centuries, to be honest with you, have changed. In Ethiopia, it is disallowed for you to call yourself you are a mixed, come actually from a mixed group. By law, you are, if your father is actually an Oromo, no matter
Tess, you there?
whether actually if your father is an Oromo, whether your mother is an Amara or Gragi, whatever actually that you cannot say actually that you come actually from two mixed groups and can't mention it, especially it is absolutely discriminatory when it comes to mothers. So you're absolutely right. The dynamics of that has taken place over centuries, and people are actually mixed and not only actually in a particular country, as you quite rightly said, the example that I gave you earlier on between Ugandan and Kenyans, the South Sudanese, the Somalians, Kenyans, Ethiopians, and Kenyans, Ethiopians, and the rest of it. So you're absolutely right. So within this, let's just capitalize on the information that we have got now And then in this tug of war between tribalism and Pan-Africanism, where do you think as Africa is heading now? Where is Africa actually heading now? So the next speakers, please actually that if you could try actually to answer this question. I'm going to give actually the mic to Johannes first, and in fact to Sherman and the A1 in that order because this is I see, and then I'll come back actually to Obang. Obang is I think his connection is down now.
Thank you so much, Tess, Bez, and Keith for the space and Twitter. The Twitter. Thank you for waking up, everybody. So I just want to drop one point, an interesting point before I go to my main. Tess brought about how mixed ethnic lineage in Ethiopia and how it's considered the father is the bearer of the ethnic line. In 2019, I was in Kenya and I met an ex-ambassador and I was talking to him about how Dr. Abiy is from half Oromo and half Amara, and he said in Kenya he's considered Amhara, and I told him why, and he said in Kenya we always say we know for sure he's born from his mother because his mother carried him for 9 months, and we know for sure his mother is Amara. But his father is what he's told. His mother told him that this is your father. So unless he's genetically, confirmed it, we don't believe him. We believe his mother, but his father is always hearsay or confirmed by his mother. It's a very interesting point. That's not the topic of the discussion. Anyway, let me come back to the topic. I'm about action always. Probably people who knows me now. In this space, talking about tribalism and Pan-Africanism, I don't think there is a single tribalistic mentality person inside this space for sure. Probably all of us are Pan-Africanist or citizen. So in my opinion, what should be the topic should be how we can create citizenship among Africans and what the action. And I think this is a years of work, through missionaries, through preaching, through all that created what the problem right now in Africa. So that the same extent of work is needed to untangle the problem and to create a good citizen. I can give you a good name. We can create an NGO called Good Citizen. We can have fundraising. We can have, even we can fundraise for our white brothers. So we can, if we start to say alienate other groups, for sure the problem has happened. I think we have to focus on the solution. If you host a party and the guest trash your house, you don't sit the next day and cry about the guest. You just get up and clean the house. So the whole problem is created by the whites, but you know what? We can actually use their money, fundraise, and have an NGO and be involved, have agenda in AU, travel to every other African country, meet their Minister of Education, try to integrate into their curriculum good citizenship, education about good citizenship, and less emphasis on of course debunking tribal superiorities, all that kind of thing. We have to do at a grassroots level. I've been to Uganda, I've been to Kenya, I've met people at the grassroots level during the HIV pandemics when I was traveling in Uganda. So a lot of people are innocently good people. Education is what can change. The same way the missionary preached this, we have to go down and preach and create Africa. It takes years, probably 20, 30, 40. Maybe we don't see it in our age, but we can start the work. And I think that's what we should focus. Otherwise, the idiot tribalism and citizenship, we know that's where the discussion leads. After 4 hours of discussion, we'll be in the same place. I think what can we do? What is the action? That's what we should focus. Thank you. I would like Obanks to put his input on this.
Yeah, I think when he comes back, actually, he would share actually his views. But the thing is, unfortunately, we're talking about actually Africa. Probably, if you can't challenge Johannes, the way actually we are going is not actually pleasing at all, because probably if you can't challenge 90%, it's only 10% according to actually this piece. 90% are actually either tribals or idiots, not idiots in a curse way. We have a problem. It's not just for this particular space. This particular space could share some ideas and then could serve as an engine of change. But for that, we have to really accept the reality. The reality in Kenya, the reality in Somalia, our brother actually Sadiq was actually telling us earlier on. He will come back again, tell you, you know it actually as an Ethiopian, the reality in Ethiopia over the last probably actually well over 40 years. And, it's not only the 30 years that they were in power. So this wasn't actually there. In fact, in Ethiopia, the tribal issue wasn't actually an issue yet if you go back 50 or 40 years back. So if you have been actually in a spaces like Nigeria for that matter, um, uh, Zimbabwe, the rest of it has always been actually an issue. And I've been advising actually, Ethiopia is a very good experimental so it's a laboratory of ethnic federalism, and then where we came actually, where we are just right now, is a manifestation of how bad it was. So I don't want actually any other countries actually to follow suit. But unfortunately, when you go to Nigeria, they'll tell you the Fulanis actually come. They have a small, in terms of the numbers, but they are actually governing the rest of Nigeria. Therefore, actually, we have to go our own ways, our separate ways. So the reality is not what we think it is, to be honest with you. So, but you're absolutely right. What we need to do is to galvanize, work toward this actually kind of action. So this is small space, and then does have actually a Telegram team which is working, in fact, very tirelessly toward this actually having the groundwork for this citizenship actually to mushroom. Thank you for your contribution, Brother Johannes. We're going to move on to our brother Sherman. Sherman, please. Was that no
Hi.
share maker? Hassan, all right. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay. Thank you. Thank you,
it was
Tess.
my turn, I think, isn't it? It was my turn.
Okay, thank you, Tess. I want to contribute in this great topic, Pan-Africanism, to one thing, only one thing, for a few minutes. The thing I'm contributing is that something that I always work. I am youth activist. I am the CEO of Pan-Africa, and I am the CEO of Red Relief local NGO. Then I want to contribute one thing, that is, can we have please make a platform that all African nations can share together, come together? The first question I ask myself is that what people come together? What people make them come together? For example, sports, and for example, politics. For example, when you look at, for example, an AFCON, for example, is a football event that makes Africans come together to feel that we are Africans, Pan-Africanism. So, and then we need to make a platform that have rules and regulations. Then we, when we come together as a nation, is to share and to appreciate each other and to show the world that we can have the relationship that the Europeans, the Americans, all those white people have. So everyone should be an ambassador to find out how African nations can be come together, can to share, to appreciate each other, to not challenge them. So that is my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother Sharmarki. There is already a platform created. Glad for you and probably to know. If you DM me that you're not following me, I just check to follow each other. Just I'll drop you the link. You can join us in our next meeting. So currently, actually, the mission statement is going, the drafted organizational structure is going to be done. So we're not going to discuss it actually at the space, but there is actually a platform. You're absolutely right, actually. We need to organize ourselves. Without organizing us, we can't get anywhere. We just simply discuss. So thank you very much for your input. A1, Mike, the mic is yours now, A1. If you could,
Hi, thank you.
if you could identify yourself, where you are from, that would
Yeah,
really
I'm
help
gonna
us. Thank you.
explain. Yeah, I'm going to explain. My name is Özlem. I'm from Turkey, 50 years old woman. I'm a Turkish woman. What else I can say? My English, I'm sorry about my English. My English is my second language. Sorry if you don't understand, you can ask me back. All right. I want to tell you about how I met. I don't want to I don't want to be rude, but I want to say, how did I would like to explain how did I meet Black people. Do you call it black or am I rude? If I am rude, I'm sorry. I just want to say, how did I meet first time? I was a child, I remember. We had the TV. It was a black and white TV. We were watching always American movies and English movies. They were always the people from Africans. They were like, in the movies, they were like a slave, or they are hard work for in some places. And I was feeling so sorry for them. And I was really got lots of sympathy. And then when I start to grow up, of course, teenager age, and then I see the Black people in a movies like fighter, killer, murder, stuff like that. And I was very confused. Are they good people or bad people? You see? So, and then I got chance to go to UK, England. I find people are very friendly, very positive, energetic, and they love singing, dancing, and jokes and all that. Oh my God, I fall in love with the Africans or black, how you call, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to call black. It's not. It's rude. I know it's not nice. I don't like it, but I have to mention. How am I gonna mention? I don't know. How would you like me to call, my dear? Just give me a word I can call.
I mean, don't feel actually apologetic, to be honest with you. We would like to be called actually. We are of a Burnett face, so call us actually black. Don't worry. I mean, you're not. So long as people are actually using it in a negative connotation, when they
Yeah,
call us black or
yeah.
whatever, actually, we have had actually that problem. If you were actually in the UK, I'm in
Okay,
the UK as well, to be honest with you. We stand up to them and we call ourselves black and minority. So
okay,
we don't have actually an issue. Carry on, sister.
okay, guys. In my opinion, you should start building yourself, putting your head up by making lots of arts from the young age. Your kids, make them be proud themselves, and you have to make new movies to show up all around the world. Look, I have no chance to come to your country to meet you up. Once I had a chance to go to UK and I met over there. So I never knew that what kind of people you are from the movies when I was child. I watch and I was just thinking of it. And now, of course, I have knowledge about you. But many people all around the world, they have no idea what kind of people you are. You should make lots of movies and sport activities and arts and theater and sort of things like that to introduce yourself all around the world. That is my opinion to give you. And also, I swear to God, you are the best ever on this earth. I met people. I wish I could born in your country. Honestly, I swear to God. I swear from bottom of my heart. I'm not joking. I'm not making fun or something. Honestly, I hate the people, even in my country, whoever is separating you or saying something or doing something. honestly, from bottom of my heart, I'm telling you. We have some people in Istanbul. It's a big city, a quite busy city, Istanbul. Probably you might heard about it. And there is a black people as well. They are selling watches and clothes and, you know, this sort of things. And very friendly, very polite. Whenever I see them, I just talk them, have a little chat, and most of them are speaks English as well, very well. So, you know, very friendly. But most of people, they can't see this side. You have to put your head up and teach your children. When I entered this room, I heard a story. Somebody was asking a child or whatever, saying there is a black man and white man. Which one is the what was the word? I forget. But which one is the best or something? And the children said the white one. You see, I'm sorry to say this, but it's your fault. You have to teach your kids that there is nothing is different. Nothing is different at all. And the women should proud themselves. Men should be proud of themselves. This earth is just our home. And we have to share whatever we have on this earth. We like air, like, you know, we have to breathe, all we have to work, all we have to eat at the end of the day, isn't it? So there is nothing is changed at all. If there is God, well, yeah, less of religions was going on this around this world. Yeah, I born in Muslim country, but since I reached 2022, honestly, I left my religion. I fed up with it for so many reasons. I'm not going to tell you this now, but I really fed up with this. The people who is, what was the word? Just let me think. I couldn't find the word. I'm sorry. Whoever is against to others, whoever is against to others, even my parents against to others, like you have black color or I have a black color. If you hate me, honestly, I will hold you a mirror. I know you are not hating me. You think I'm better than you, but this is not true. You are the best. You are good dancer, good singer, good worker, hard worker, and all things. You have everything you have, and you don't know it. This is really shame.
Thank you very much, A1. That's wonderful. I like your journey. Your journey starts with a prejudice as normal, and you came to the United Kingdom. You met the true Africans and see them actually for who we are,
Yeah.
in fact, blacks. Now, actually, you are a converted person. This is exactly what we wanted to know. Prejudice is understandable both ways. Thank you very much for your contribution.
My pleasure.
Okay. I'm going to give actually the mic to Sadiq, and after that to Obang, to reflect on what's going on so far, and then the rest of you stay. I will give you actually the mic. Sadiq,
may I
think
just
from Somalian perspective, he's going to give us actually what's the update. A1, please, Sadiq, move on,
Yes,
please.
sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Um all right. That last lady, she has been through a wonderful journey, and I appreciate she finally met some of our people and saw what they are and who they are. For me, I just wanted to say that Somalia has always been a great Pan-Africanist country, not just the state, but the people. If you look back in the 60s and the 70s, when most of our continent was regaining independence from the colonizers and colonialists, many of our people, singers and everyone, poets, we were advocating for a free Africa. Still, we are. And much of the reason why the colonialists were putting a lot of pressure for my people and country for the last 30 years is because Somalia is always an African state and will remain that way. Two things. One, this tribalism we're facing today needs bold actions. And I believe those of us who are here, Tess and the leaders, I believe all we need is to change these ideas into actions. For me, a good example in this journey is President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. If we have some Rwandans in the house, he's a bold, courageous leader who doesn't hesitate to speak the truth whenever the moment demands. So again, if in our context now, if we can learn from him, if there is any way this platform can try to reach out to President Kagame or anybody close to him, so that we learn from him how he approaches these things. I want to address a question asked by Benson. Brother Benson asked a very important question. He said, should we blame the West or take some responsibility ourselves? Well, the answer is absolutely, we bear the first responsibility lies with us, and there is no way we can blame the West alone for our challenges today. I 100% stand by the other speakers that time has come to end this tribalism and make sure our potential, collective potential, is realized, whether it is producing vaccines, whether it is developing our economies, whether it is to make sure we dominate this blue economy. Now we see Africa is producing 80% of the raw materials needed to produce electric cars. Can you imagine? DRC alone is producing the lithium and cobalt needed to produce electric cars. Combine all the Western countries more than they can produce. That's why China and Americans are scrambling to divide DRC and keep it in chaos, so that there is no state and they just take the resources without any responsible government. This must come to an end. Time for us to organize, not to agonize. For us in Horn of Africa, now we're showing solidarity with each other. I have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of my fellow Somalians who are standing in solidarity with Ethiopia, traveling with Ethiopian Airlines from around the world, coming back to the region, standing with our friends and brothers and sisters in Eritrea in their challenges the Westerners are facing, are putting on them, the illegal sanctions, and for them they're standing with us in solidarity. We stand with our brothers and sisters in Sudan, those who are being badly and illegally sanctioned by the West and brought a lot of illegal coups to their countries to destroy the government. This is a playbook that has been applied to Africa for the last 60 years. It is our new generation to stop this, and it must come to an end. We cannot pass to our children, because that will be shame on us. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much, Sadiq. With that, I'll take one of your phrases. Let us organize, not agonize. I think that's really very catchy as far as I'm concerned. Whether actually to put the blame on us entirely, I do have some dubiety. But with all this, Obang, I'm coming actually to you. Now, on reflection of what has been actually said so far, and the way forward, and there's visible tug of war between, on the one hand, tribalism, not tribes as such, and then their qualities and the rest of it we have embraced. We cannot really change that. But I think the tendency to swallow the rest, being actually part of actually one ethnic group or tribe for that matter. And then on the other hand, actually the reignited Pan-Africanism. Where is Africa now, Obang, in your eyes? What are the things actually we should do, in fact, to go forward from here? The mic is yours, Brother Obang. Is it just me or Obang? Kid Bez,
Not only you, but until Obang grabs his mic, may I take the chance maybe to recite?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank
Yes,
you. So
yes,
let's do a little bit of housekeeping as well.
yes. That's,
So great discussion. Sorry
I'm
about that.
sorry, I'm sorry for interference. Please give me a chance.
I
And
will give you a chance.
okay, I have a questions for Obang
Yes,
Mito
we
too.
will give you that chance. Would you give me a few minutes? Thank you. So the
Victor,
housekeeping.
your turn. Okay, your turn. The rule in here is we just show your hands. If you don't show your hands, we'll give to the ones that you don't show their hands. Daisy is actually because she's got some housekeeping to do. Please, just be
Okay,
patient,
thank
okay?
you. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay.
Thank you. So yes, great discussion. Very good points being raised, and I appreciate all that. As we are discussing, we are also being voice for our people. There are so many contents that are created and are possible to be used to tweet. So if you go to the link tree, there are tweets from Bazitio. When you finish that, you could also say done to me. You could also go to the Horn of Africa. All of those links got good tweets, contents that could help you to tweet about what is the matter in Africa overall. So thank you so much. While we're doing that, once you speak and you think you are done, please remove yourself respectfully so that other speakers can come. We have many requesting to come up. And we will give you a second round of chance. And so appreciate that. Before I give the chance to Yotor, let me double check. Mr. Obang, are you there? Mr. Obang? Okay, maybe we'll come back. So we'll give the mic to Yotor, and then Tess, you'll lead the rest of it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, brothers. And actually, I have only short points forwarded here. And I wanted to ask for Obang Mito, but I think he's not present actually. So when we think about the tribalism, PanAfricanism, it describes something like that. Here, I think being tribal is not a problem by itself, but here the topic is very interesting. And what are the big problems of Africa, in my point of view, is that just tribal leaders, just for only doing for their interests is a very big problem for Africa, I think. And saying to this, actually, there are forces of the Westerns, something like that outside Westerns from Africa. And we have to do in different perspectives. From the perspective of the Western forces. Second, we have to do aggressively on forces of the tribal leaders, whom you might call idiots. Actually, idiots is not only express them, because only they are doing for their business, attacking the people, something like that. So we must agree, and we must identify what is the real problem of Africa. This must be found out. And the other thing is here on reality. Here in Ethiopia, I am from Ethiopian actually, and from Amhara. So there are voices. There are voices which are dismissive by this day, and every African should must aware of it. For your surprise, still the Amhara tribes are killed massively. Sadly, the kids of Amhara are just raped by TPLF terrorist group, and by now the so-called OLF group, which means the Oromian Liberation Front, and there are many complex things here. So I'm not just a racist. You must all know this, and I'm a sociologist too. Sociologists agree on human beings. Human beings must live as human beings. No more division between tribes, something like that. So first, let us find out what is the real existence or happenings in the grounds of Africa. We must find out solutions for them. We must fight for such cases, and the African or the so-called Pan-African era will come soon. Unless if we cover up such dismissive voices, and if we dismiss such tribal azalities, we can't find a solution. We can't find nothing a solution for Africa. We must just point out the reality. And and still, if Obangmeto, by the way, Obangmeto is our hero, and I thank him for his deeds. If he's present here and he hear me, I thank him very much because he stands for humanity all the time. But I want to ask him I wanted to ask him just how you reflect on the Amara causes. Actually, I'm not. Problems are not only in Amhara. There are problems here in Ethiopia. So you, my African brothers and sisters, please find out the truth here in Ethiopia. And sorry,
sorry. Can you wrap it up, please?
Okay.
Other speakers as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got the point. I got the point.
Okay. Okay. So today there is a no more movement around the world. I appreciate that, but the no more movement still submisses or just dismisses such truths on ground. So anyone who can have a real knowledge on that, and you can reflect, and actually
can you sum it up?
That's the point. Okay. That's the point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think, to be honest with you, coming from the same, by and large, actually, same group as you are, I think some exactly that this is the outcome, the deadliest actually outcome of, in fact, tribalism. If you are fighting tribalism, why should Amaras actually being subjected? Because it is the outcome of tribalism. So you are giving me the proof that there is not only actually tribalism, it is the ugliest form of leadership, in fact, inculcated and then put in practice, via what they call constitution by the TPLF. And then we are reaping actually, the saddest aspect of actually tribalism. That's in a nutshell. Whether it is actually the OLA, or Oromo Liberation Army, or TPLF, who is actually killing, then obviously actually that's the saddest outcome of this tribal ethnocentric politics which we are fighting. You are proving actually again this sinister. It doesn't make any right for others, in fact, to follow suit. If TPLF failed and in fact brought us actually to this kind of stalemate. It's not just stalemate, to be honest. It's a sad picture where Amaras and Afars were killed. But let me remind you, if Obang is actually coming, he will definitely tell you. If he can't tell you, I'll tell you myself. There are 400 Anuak were actually killed. And then we are actually compiling them. How many Gedius have been killed? How many Oromos in the Recha actually were killed by TPLF? How many Amaras have been killed well before actually yesterday? It's not Ndera, it's not, China, it's not just, but in general, in African context, you can go country by country. This tribal issue which a friend of ours actually earlier on think actually it is minor. It's not a minor issue, but I think the only solution for us is really to come out of this deadlock. I'll give actually mic to our brother actually Karanja, who is actually would and then in fact highly first, and then Karanja, even though actually he's not showing it in his hand, to reflect on this reality. And I'll come back to you, hashtag, because I know I gave you a chance earlier on. I'll come back to you, and then you'll say your piece as well, and then Tigis following by that. Highly, brother, you go and just give the mic to Karanja. Thank you.
All right, thank you, brother Tess. Thank you, everyone that's here for this actual great conversation. Which will lead into action. This is how we start, and this is the dialogues that we need to continue to push. I think the thing is we have to understand tribalism. It's another way of division and divisiveness. When we divide, it's not losing yourself by going into the bigger picture. When we look into the bigger picture, look into the family, as you say, your family consists of so many different people. You have uncles, aunties, cousins, and everything else. If you're only looking at your parents and that's the only ones you stick with, you leave the rest of your family, the rest of your kin folks behind, and you're not able to land the strength that you need from them. But what we need to start, I think, as Africans and Black people in general, is getting divided and getting confused with the narratives and the playbooks that was written for us by others. This is not something that is known for Africa for many years. Yes, we had tribes, but our tribes didn't consist of this type of ethnic division where we're brutal and killing each other for just our gains only. When you look at a lot of our leaders that are actually great leaders, they're always hijacked and or either assassinated or removed because they're not talking about tribalism, but they're talking about unity and justice for all. And so one thing that we must push away from is the narrative that Africans aren't smart, or we're poor, or we're this or that. No, 3,000 years ago we were leading the whole world, and we've been leading the world. But the thing is, when we're fighting against each other, we're not able to build the schools that we need. We're not able to advance in arithmetics or languages, or we're not. If you look at Ethiopia, we had Giz. We had so many different languages that derived from Giz, and we have our own alphabets and everything else, right? And so we are people that have been educated way longer, way far too long than any other nations. We've taught European so many civilization itself. So why we're behind is we became divided. Once we got divided and we start fighting and bickering with each other, we cannot progress. So one thing I would say is patience is a virtue, as they say. But with patience, we have to also be able to have a consistent outline of how we can break down some of the small low-hanging fruits and grab those low-hanging fruits and be able to get our brothers and sisters from all over the world to be welcome them into the nation of the United States of Africa, and be able to say, hey, please come and join us in this fight against neocolonialism by just visiting. Right? See for your own eyes. Don't look at the media that has portrayed us, because we have been marketed the wrong way. So if you look at New York, if you look at Miami, if you look at Paris, if you look at any places in the world, they always show you the limelights and how you're walking basically heaven on earth, right? And then they paint Africa as this savage, this a third world like no one wants to go to, but they copy every little thing. There's safaris in Florida where they're showing you, trying to get a glimpse of Africa. Why do we not exploit what we have and show it and market it the right way. Why are we letting them tell our stories? So when we change those things, when we welcome our brothers and sisters from all over the world, then we can start moving. And we have to look at the low hanging fruits and start creating that Pan Africanism that we need. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I'll let you go, Karanj.
Thank you, highly wonderful. Crunch, this mic is yours, brother.
Thank you very much.
In the meantime, sorry to disturb. In the meantime, based on Kid, if you could DM Obang, he can leave. He can leave and come back. Probably that may work. Um, try to reach Obang. I don't think actually, because sometimes actually it pretends that he's actually a speaker, but he's not actually. He can leave and he can come back. Okay, Kranja, sorry.
Thanks, Tess. Thanks for the platform, as usual. Thanks for the conversation, always very fruitful. And I just wanted to say a couple of things. I love the tweet up there, organize, don't agonize, because that's exactly what we need to do. I think that everyone in here agrees that tribalism is a problem, and even the tribalists agree that and if nothing else, everybody agrees that it does exist, including the tribalists. So we are at 100% agreement that it is a thing. It is a real issue. So what do we do about it? Part of the big problem that I see is that we always discuss issues of. And by the way, I just want to qualify that yes, there is a huge element of colonialism and white supremacist attacks on us and divide and rule tactics that have worked very effectively, and we have to have a healthy respect for those tactics because they are effective. So what do we do about it? We always treat the issues of African issues or Black issues or Pan-African issues always as if they are questions of morality, as if they are questions of character. The simple reality is that all human beings are essentially the same. All human beings respond to the same stimuli, and all human beings respond to their own interests, their own personal interests, their own economic interests, their own social interests. And so the solution lies in, and what I'm very aware of is that in the United States, in Europe, so the issues of society are generally dealt with scientifically. Like a lot of human behavior is influenced by social psychology and social design. And so if you look at the issues that are causing whatever it is, whatever social problem it is, the response always has to be a solution that provides a solution to the problems of human beings. Tribalism exists because of power. It's always about a power struggle. And why is there a power struggle? It's about the social need that human beings have to survive, to provide for their families, to live comfortably, to be able to send their kids to school, have shelter, and all of that stuff that the basic human need, that satisfy the basic human need. And so we have to find systems that work for us, that provide and meet those needs. Part of the big problem is that we inherited these quote unquote democratic systems from Western countries that do not work for us. They were not made for us. They do not work for us. They do not even work in the West. We talk about tribalism as if it's only an African thing. Particularly this horse race of the electoral system in the United States has created tribes. There's the blue tribe and the red tribe, and it is a very tribal process because it works whereby there's one group gets to gain power, and then they spend the next 4 years wielding that power and then also fighting to hold onto that power. And so this cycle is endless. So what we need to be looking at is social systems and political systems that work for us, that resonate
for the communities that we come from. I always say this, you know, we come from systems of leadership and democracy, or whatever it was, systems that were generally run by councils of elders. So why not look at that system? Because that used to work. Have like, you know, councils of elders selected from modern types of systems. So for example, I can use Kenya as an example of where I come from. Kenya used to be divided into 8 provinces. You know, why not have some type of a council of elders of 8 governors that rotate every 2 years and remove the whole myth and sort of you know, idea of like the imperial presidency, turn them more into servants rather than just, you know, rather than the sort of very celebrity style type of, you know, imperial presidency that, you know, that we have inherited, you know. So ultimately, that's just one idea. That's just one of Karanja's ideas. It doesn't have to be my idea. But essentially, what we do have to do is respond to the needs of society. You know, whenever we keep talking about, oh, we just need to educate Africans, or we just need to teach our children to love each other, like that's, to be honest, I'll use this word, and I don't use it carelessly, and I don't use it as an insult. It is nonsense. It's nonsensical, because it's Africans don't need to be taught to love. Africans don't need to be educated. We know our history. We are loving people. The issues that arise because of power. People need power to be able to provide for a basic human need. And so we have to meet those needs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We can keep talking. We can teach love all we want. Like Africa, I think, has become the most religious of continents, following our colonizers' religions largely. So if it was all about just love and religion or God or whatever it is, then we would be, you know, we would be the number one. But until we solve the issues, the economic issues, the issues of power, the issues of people feeling that they are taken care of, and able to live peaceably, then we will continue to have these issues. They're not issues of morality. They're not issues of ignorance or religion. They are issues of power, and we need to address those. And I yield the mic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, actually, Karanja. You put it quite elegantly. The tribalism, first of all, unequivocally, yes, it existed, but linking it to the power, the greed, and the rest of it. How can we tackle it? There are different ways actually, that you have suggested. We have to take that on board. And then the subsequent speakers, actually, that could you please, actually, you know, all right, okay, we agree that it's tribalism to whatever extent actually that you agree it exists. But there is an alternative to that. How can we get there? How can we strategize? We have already started, as I say earlier on, Pranja is part of that, that we are the organizing, not agonizing, is actually the way forward. So we have already started actually organizing ourselves. Now, what would be actually your individual contribution? Now, people could be actually there, but tribals or whatever.
Yeah, guys, you know,
They're taking us this way or that way, and but we are not actually getting somewhere. So, what would be actually your input? What actions actually should we take? So, this is actually what we're focusing on. I'll give actually the mic now to our brother, hashtag, and because that's the second time, and then after that, Tigist, Isma, and Zara. Okay, thank you.
wanted to add on to what Karanja was saying. When you look at America, America is as strong as it is because out of all the different people that live in America, they still accomplish the goal. When you check it out, America is built with Scandinavians, Danish, Irish, Italian, all different ethnicities, all different heritage. But yet, they call themselves white. And with that same whiteness, they walk together, build money, and do what they need to do. And that's the same thing we need to do in Africa. People from different countries, collectively, still being themselves, be able to come together to, you know, build the finances to establish Africa so that it could surpass all the rest of these people, because these people are not above Africans. They do not have the resources. They do not have the intelligence. They don't have any of that. All they have is strategy. That's the one thing. A cohesiveness for them to build the finances, to build the infrastructure, to build the schools, to build the tourism. But really, the tourism comes from the idea of when they went to Africa. So that's why I hope the conversation gets to. And that's all I really wanted to add into this. Because I believe from there, that's where it's going to stem all the progress.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, the Americans or the Europeans strengths, and we know actually how it came to being. So Africa has the capacity actually to do it, so long as actually we follow the right ways. Okay, next to that is Tigist. Please take a mic from now on. This we will use actually
Not to say
3 minutes of
not
our
to
time.
remove family or history or, ethnic, your entire stream of people, is to put it all together, because these people who are supposedly the top, they put it all together. So why can't we?
Yes, we can. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tess and Bez and Kid. First of all, we can blame the white, Western, and so on about tribalism. However, I think we need to start from home. That also can be from parenting. Take responsibility, teaching our kids and nurture it about Africanism, and also about the beauty of our different tribes. I came from two ethnic background parents, but they taught me to and allow me to embrace both. Above all, respect and love Ethiopia and Africa. I'm also raising my kids the same way I was raised. And when this war started, my teenage daughter came to us and she said, "What are we?" Because she saw so many social media posts, and she does not even know what ethnic group she belongs to. However, after explaining, right, year after that, when she was selecting a roommate for her college, she didn't even pick Ethiopian. She picked an African sister. That shows you how strong the foundation is. And I also understand we need to fight for any ethnicity attacked, attacked group, especially when they have no power. However, if we build, Africanism, and that group starts standing for any ethnic group getting killed, possibly, or getting, the possibility of getting response and the result is a lot better. And we can look into, let's say, the West African brother who just went to Ethiopia. He didn't go because one ethnicity got attacked. He went because the noise is a lot more than that. And we need to stand together and form a broader unity to show that we have power, as well as we have, as our brother said, we have resources. If we are united as an Africa, whatever Kenya has, it will be easily accessible for us, and vice versa. And also another brother mentioned we have to have African platform. I say we started with this no more. I guess this is my opinion. If we enrich and work toward that and put our efforts to educate anyone, it does not have to be only Africans, our American brothers, that will be huge, and the result is a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, actually. Yeah, Tigis, for your reflection, internal or external, how we can take this forward. Kid, I would like to give you the mic before actually I go to Zara and Sage. Is there anything that you want to say? I've tried actually to bring in Obang. Unfortunately, actually, he seems to have actually problems. Is it okay? Kid, are you with me?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Tess. Yeah, I tried to reach out to Obang as well, but hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, I've heard that probably no more movement. Uh, First we need to understand what is our problem. So that, if we can go to different country, but I'll take Ethiopia as it is. Why do we have to? Why do you have to think in tribalism? It's one of the thing is it's a creation of TPLF. Where is TPLF got this idea from? It's obviously is from the West. He just even the original ethnic based region in states in Ethiopia are actually just that was a direct copy of what the colonizer wants to do in Ethiopia if they were allowed. But I think people get into the notion that being in our tribe will solve our problem. Temporarily it can. I'm not saying it's not going to solve, but what is the long term plan? And in the long run, we'll be better off united, not only as an Ethiopian but as an African. Our issues are our issue can easily be solved if we are united. But our issue was imposed and given to us by the outsiders. So we need to understand. I know there are some problems, but but we can achieve and we can get Africa in a prosperous path. And no more movement. I mean, no more movement has been attacked for the last few weeks, but no more movement gave us a chance to, wake up our some of our African brothers. Actually, ignited the movement. I'm not saying that no more movement is only one option, but it gave us a chance to voice our opinion. So, what we need to do is how can we take this to the next level. I like the idea of African Renaissance that this came up with because we want to take it to the next level. Is a no more movement or our solution is on our hand. We can be in our small room of the tribalism, or we can see the bigger picture and solve our problem for long term. So I would rather us to stick with the Pan-Africanism and uniting and solve our problem internally and solve African problem in general. So that's what I would say. Thank you, Tess. I think Obang is here if you want to give him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, straight. Thank you very much. As usual, Obang, before your connection actually breaks, take the mic and I'm wondering actually if you heard me earlier on asking you some questions, but to be honest with you, just in case actually you go back,
Okay, brother. Yes,
could the rest
I
of you
can hear you,
please
but I didn't hear your question earlier. But I can hear you.
carry? Oh yeah, it is just about now. You know where we are actually in terms of tribalism and the rest of it, and I think it has to be some solution orientated. We have started actually just organizing, albeit actually it is at its infancy. And what would be actually your suggestion? I mean, first of all, I know for sure actually that you're gonna tell us your take on this, where we are actually in Africa vis-a-vis tribalism, vis-a-vis Pan-Africanism. Thank you, Oban.
Can Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes,
Okay.
yes, you can.
Yeah, no, I think that like most of the brother who was talking earlier, most of them, I just first want to say thank you. I am, and I just wanted to just say a few things to you guys and say that thank you so much for everything, and I think this is a good discussion. Tribalism versus Pan-Africanism. Tribalism is what's holding us back. Like the brother was saying, every place, African, we are not new to this. We had a tribes for thousands of years, but we never kill each other like the way we do today. This is, an intentionally done by system. And, so for us to end this question, this system, we as the African,
have to be organized. So what are the work that has to be done? I think I just wanted to say to Tess, and most of you are here, just carry on what has been done. That's the only way. There's no any other way. Like the brother before me said that, it is, no more movement. Take this to the next step. There's, as I always say, that no one would be free until all are free. For the African to gain, to get use of the resource that they have to be organized. If we organize beyond ethnicity, seriously, we can be able to control our resource. If organized at a bigger number was not working, the European Union would have never been established, or the NATO's, all of these G7 countries. These are because they know the meaningful of being organized as a body. So what is the taking the practical things, the practical, as I always say, most of you guys who are here already, we now have something that we have in common. No more movement is unified us as a peoples. And then we know that we all heading from every other part of the continent. Just a matter of us working toward that. That's all we have to do. So you already have an institution, saying a body, a talking point, no more movement. And this one, we try to really create a union of African peoples, not African politicians. African Union has been an institution that, really of a politician. The politicians are controlled by the West and the Chinese, the people who have the money. But create a people movement is a key. So where do we start it? And I think that we already know the continent of Africa has been run by the idiots and the tribesmen, not the citizens. These people will never want us. That's why Ethiopia is where it is, because the Ethiopian who were really a tribalist and idiots joined together to run the countries, and the citizen has been left behind. So now it's for people to put this, a tribe and idiots second and put the citizen first. So once we do that, we can be able to succeed. Practically, as you guys already done, finding a people from every continent, every country in the continent of Africa who think the same like you guys. And these individuals, then we delegated them. Then let mobilize Ethiopian who believe into this. I know Ethiopia is infected with these narrow-minded tribal leaders who don't even know what it means to be human beings. They are drunk with that ethnicity. The ethnicity in the 21st century, it is a way to get money. It's a cheap way to get money, immoral way to get money, to get away with the crime, to get a loan. So that's why in Ethiopia it become an injera. They don't want to let that go. So for you guys, the way to do it is keeping in mind that you are dealing with so many powerful forces, and those powerful forces using the greed. African, we are poor. By being poor than someone, by holding on with the tribe, in the name of the tribe, they will get the support from everywhere. So now you have to go beyond that. As I always say, humanity before ethnicity or any other difference. We come to this world with no language, no religion, nothing, no cultures, and no tribe. The tribe and all of these things, I am an Ethiopian in Gambela, a darker man. If I was taken to Kenya and I look dark like some of those Julu guys and all of those guys, and no one told me that you were born in Gambela, I would never know I'm Anuak. I'm a darker guy taken to Cameroon or Senegal. There's a guy who looked like me in Senegal. If I was put in Senegal there when I was a kid, and then, and no one told me that I'm from the Anuak in the Gambela, I would have never known it. So the tribe thing is a tool, something that's been created, but we are this obsessed. Educated also, that uneducated fool who go to America, get a degree, they come back here, they want to promote this because people are poor. It's a shortcut to get rich, a shortcut to get away with the crime, a shortcut to dominate, a shortcut, to really live in just a horrible life. To way to jump it, you guys has already done it. You cannot even compare it. Tribalism, first PanAfricanism. PanAfricanism is a healthy way, a way of caring about others. It is, unity, about caring about humanity. So I think that you guys practically, this discussion should go back to the organization. Nitty-gritty, come out with achievable goals, deliverable goals, short-term, long-term, mid-term. Short-term, finding Ethiopian, finding Kenyan, find Sudanese, find Nigerian, find Somalian, find Eritrean who think like you. Short-term. and then immobilize those people. The midterm, then how can we make this to become an institution of the people, to create an institution? And the long term is to create a United States of Africa. It is doable. It can be done. It may not be done in my lifetime or in our lifetime. Our children can do it. Our goal is that if we have children, teach them in the school, make this part of curriculums. If we have a brother here from Kenya who's a teacher and has his kids, the teachers should teach their kids. We would have the access to those. We teach our kids that, about Pan-Africanism, about, the United States of Africa. The United States of America is there, but United States of Africa. And if we do this, I am telling you, we can be able to, during our lifetime, we can be able to set the goals. Our young people can mobilize, and Africa can shine after this. This is the only way we can control our resource. This is the only way we can get respect abroad. This is the only way that we can be able to create one currency, a money that we can be able to use. Right now, the shilling you bring it to others is useless. You bring birr to the shilling is useless. You bring a shilling from Addis, excuse me, it's meaningless. There's no resource. You go and take a birr to Nairobi, it's useless. But you go and take the European pound in Nairobi, it will be taking over, will be chose over a birr, different countries. You bring a shilling to Addis, American dollar will be chose. What is it that why American dollar is it? But if we have a one, United States of African pound or dollar or shilling, whatever you call it, or birr, a one only, that is a powerful. We will be respected, we will be valued, we will be able to, to really rule and lead our future generation. So the tribal, it is a disease, it's a backward, it's a narrow-minded, it's a short-sighted, it's all dominated, just a result of all the evil tribalism system is not a healthy system. We should not even focus on that, leave that aside, and then how we can brand this Pan-Africanism and make it in a healthier system that will move forward. So like I was telling you, Ethiopia tribalism was tried in the last 23 years, 27 years. It did not work. If it was working 27 years, it would have thrived. So it will not work. A system of a greediness people, a system of idiot and dumb, uneducated, a system that wanted to destroy others. A system that will not advance human beings. So tribalism is not work. It will not work. It never worked. And it also become a tool for the Western to use it, to make us that, Africans uneducated, uncivilized, they don't have a culture, they are educated, they don't have a religion. Come on. So it's that simple to point to you guys, it's just organize. You already have create with a goal and a vision and objectives and build on that and recruit people. You recruit people in every continent, every country in the continents, and then go from the countries to the provinces, from the province even to the districts, and then you do that. You can create this simple way of mobilizing and sharing a message. So I think our goal then is to mobilize the people. What after we mobilize them and set a goal and talk about it. If the European can create a European Union with £1, with one EU, money, Africa can create a one, Pan-African institution, and then African can create the United States of Africa as a country. That's the only way the Black people can gain the respect, the dignity, even the descendants of the Black people who were taken as a slave in Brazil, in Ethiopia, in America, and other ones. Those people are also us. We can be able to free them and bring them back to the same that, where they were before. So it is not impossible. It is doable, but you have to believe in it. So that's the only message that I can say to you guys, and I'm proud of all of you who are here. You already a leader, each one of you here, whether you are from Kenya, you are from Uganda, from Ethiopia. Lago, brother, one day was a teacher at the school was from Kenya. Earlier, I was really all of you guys. Was really so inspired by you guys, and so you are a leader, my brother and sister. Our people future is not in vain because of people like you guys. We did not study from, outside. We study in the same class with these people. These people have an agenda. Human being by nature is selfish. You know what? But if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody will do it. So all of you who are already in every sectors who are here, I know you here because you care. Keep on, my brothers and sisters. Africa will shine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Obang, as usual. Very constructive and then informative, forward looking as well. Yes, actually, there's tribalism. Sadly, actually, that's the issue. But I think Pan Africanism is the way forward. So, how to do it? Organize. And by how can we organize? Like minded people from all over Africa taking responsibility, coming together, delegating. So, and the other thing is, some people actually try to paint a blink picture for the future, but no, it's doable. Yes, absolutely. Actually, I buy that. So we have hope ahead of us, from away from the shackles of tribalism, which actually permeates in many African countries, applied for greed, and then in fact the marriage of the idiots and in fact then the tribesmen, in a different context. Tribesmen actually used to provide guidance for the society. There was no any quarrels, as Obang actually tried it quite rightly. Why, if you go back in history, why did we not have actually guns and fighting is killings in the scale that we have actually witnessed since colonization and then the rest of it? So people actually have to really see, well, why is it different? Have the tribe changed dramatically? Who is actually bribing them to fight one another? When Africa is saying actually, uh, you know, silencing guns. Why is actually guns are roaring in only actually in the African continent, brothers and sisters? It makes sense actually for us to forge ahead with a Pan-Africanism. It's not it's not a change of identity. We are who we are. That's not an issue. But I think to find actually the idiots who just simply so greed, don't care about others and apart from themselves, and then clubbing actually with tribesmen who are still greedy and power hungry, and the rest of it, and then work in fact actually for the West, or whoever is actually in the East. They are not really helping. So the only way is, rather than actually looking up the appointed leaders, and then we have to do it actually at the grassroots level. Thank you very much, our brother Obang again. Bez and Kid, I can't see actually because for some reason actually again I have a problem in this. Could you please, apart from one person, so could you please actually give the mic? I think it was
There's no more.
yeah, no more. Please actually whoever actually go ahead.
Okay,
No, I
thank
think
you.
it was me. I was Said. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Said, it was Said. It was Said. Absolutely, yeah. Please,
I
I
can see
can't
it.
see.
I
Okay,
can see us. No more would go. Now let's limit the time for
okay,
Q&A,
that's fine.
please.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. A good topic you guys brought, because tribalism versus Pan-Africanism is a very good topic, because for lots of time, starting from the Monrovia and the Casablanca time, like Haile Selassie managed to unite, not actually unite, bring those two groups together. Until since that time, the African problems used to be exported, and we are trying to create a boogeyman, but we always manage to forget the problems inside Africa. That's tribalism. Now, in every part of the continent, tribalism is the way to get leadership. For example, if you go to Nigeria, look, the Igbos, the Filanis, and other ethnic groups are fighting for power. When you come to Ethiopia, the power is gained through tribalism. For example, now a party of an Oromo party is leading the country. In the past, the Tigray, a party from Tigray, leaded the country for 27 years. So every problem steer or starts from this concept of tribalism, but we always forget to check this ideology, and always try to export or extrapolate it to some kind of a boogeyman politics, which is the white man is the only issue. No, if it is the white man problem, we could have managed to fix it on the times of 1963, but we didn't do it. We failed to manage it because Africa Union was weak and is weak, and I don't know, it will be weak if it continues like this, because since its foundation it was weak. Now it is weak. I don't know in the future when it gets some spines, to challenge its factors. Because one time in the Julius Nyerere Julius Nyerere, for his commemoration, I guess 44 years of commemoration, they invite me from to be a voice as an Ethiopian. And in that time, most of African people, like the Ghanaians, the Tanzanians, the Rwandese, the Nigerians, every part of African youth were there. And finally we agreed upon one thing, that is, we are living under a black colonialist. Most of our leaders are acting like a colonialist, because that's the rhetoric they are using. Because when the European powers come to control Africa, they use the tribalic concept, and our leaders, the black leaders, continue to use that tribalic concept. And the white men failed on it because they don't know that, like, the internal structures of tribalism. But our own leaders, they are part of it and they know how to manipulate it. So let me jump back to Ethiopia's situation. So Ethiopia is under a tribal government, because the government is elected as a tribalist group. So we are under tribalism. So when we think of Pan-Africanism, at least we need to kill this concept, which is tribalism. So the constitution of Ethiopia is based on tribalism. The country is led by a tribalic government, and most of the killings, most of the wars are happening via this concept, tribalism. We could not run from it. So now we need to accept our issues. We need to address our problems. So, for example, for Africa to be Pan-Africanic or prosper or unite, we need to kill our demon from the inside, which is tribalism. So at least sometimes, for example, the No More movement and everything is focused on only the outward enemy. But for example, if we are doing 100% of a challenge on the outward enemy, we won't have any solution. So let's put some 30% of pressure on our tribalic concepts. If we can, break every chain of tribalism all over Africa, we can have some kind of unity, because that's the only demon which is stopping us to have some kind of African concept. Okay, so
Okay, thank
finally,
you.
I want to add as a finishing statement, I want to say things about the current ongoing genocides in the north, central, west, and south of Ethiopia. In the north, the Amhara people are fighting to save the country from dismantling. In the center of Ethiopia, it's like maybe 100 kilometers away from the government offices. Amharas are getting killed by some kind of military groups which the government can control, but the government is always failed to control it for the past 3 years. So we need to address this also, because this silent genocide is like the Armenian genocide of 1913. Also, this is also a silent genocide of maybe the Igbos of Nigeria, because there is a silent genocide happening everywhere in Africa, and it will cost us in the future, because those who are suffering from genocide, especially the silent genocide, maybe a revenge on the genocides or something will happen, because the bond is breaking inside Ethiopia. Because, as I told you, the Amharas are fighting in the north but dying on the south, west, and east of Ethiopia. So unless we stop this, the country is breaking. So how can we have the united Africa while breaking our own country? So we need to pressure the Ethiopian government at least to dismantle this tribalic
Thank you, no more.
constitution
Thank
and
you, no
have
more.
some kind of
Yes.
good place for citizens to live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, no more, actually, for your contribution. It's really good. You have mentioned, but I think for some of you who may think actually the silence genocide of Amara just started actually 3 years ago, I can tell you actually even the so-called actually Amaras was responsible actually for, in the likes of Tamrat Laine, which some of you still actually support, who in Arba Gugu, those people actually, those Amaras outside outside actually the Amhara Kingdom knows it, how much actually they have been actually killed for over 30 years. Now, I think it's not just simply yesterday, it has been the case. Even actually in the last 4 years, there are tremendous actually account of that. But why this, it tells me one thing. This tells me that the tribalism, whatever actually is source is, it is an evil. So, but I don't think actually it is always mutually exclusive for you to go for Pan-Africanism and at the same time dealing with the issue of actually the outcome of this ugly tribalism, particularly in Ethiopia and elsewhere that you have quite rightly actually mentioned. So it's not just let's do this first and then as if it is sequential. We could do that because the other element is actually when it comes to no more movement. I'm conscious of actually the as any other movement, probably hashtag no more movement has really helped us a lot, but they need actually to step up that to switch. I'm as an individual and others are actually working, to make sure that it just encompasses. But I think when people say it is only actually outward looking, I thought actually it was against TPLF. That's not outward looking for me. So getting the balance right when it is no more killings of Amharas, no more killings of Afar. And I really deplore people who do not say anything about Afar being killed, but talking about Amhara, or talking about Afar, but not talking about Amhara killings. So humanity comes first. This is a tribal nature. We put ourselves in pigeonhole. And then actually that we need to fight that any blood, in vain, shed in vain, we should say no to that. No. Amaras should not be subjected to that, exactly in the same way that Afari should not be subjected to that kind of brutality that in Ethiopian context, actually, the TPLF has started now. Actually, the ONA is actually doing it in a very barbaric and savagery way. We have to really shout. So it just proves again that tribalism is, as a matter of policy and practice, is absolutely nonsensical. And then it is actually killing Africa and then Ethiopia, and then you go and just have a look at actually in Somalia, which are supported by, these are all supported by the Western forces, by the way. It is so sad. It is so sad to see. I can't see the rest of them. I think I can see Alistair. Alistair, if you can speak now, after probably 1 hour. I think if you, both of you, maybe Kid and Baze, if you can give actually Alistair a chance, I would really appreciate. I can't see anybody else apart from Alistair.
It was my turn, I think, right now.
I said you're gonna have to respect the rule. You're gonna have to wait for a chance. Raise your hand. Alistair, the mic is yours. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, I did for a minute.
May I speak when if it's okay, Tess? Thank you. I'm sure Alistair would understand me if I was to ask for a chance for Said to give, and we'll come back to Alistair, and then take this.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I will take this chance to just reset again. As you know, we always are here because we do have a heart for the topic and for our people and the continent. So while we're discussing, we also have a link tree that's pinned a couple tweets up here. Please participate in the daily tweets. Just wanted to remind that. Said, go ahead, and then we'll come back to you.
Oh, okay, well, is it me?
It's
Said?
Yes.
Alistair. Sorry.
Yeah, so you said you would go, and please let's keep it
Oh,
in 3 minutes.
yeah.
Please go
I'm
ahead.
not gonna take a long time. It's, just maybe a couple, like less than a minute, hopefully. I've been following the discussion. Very interesting, and just what I wanted to say is, Pan Africanism is not a something that is new. It's been always there. But the thing is, we have to go back to history and see why it was opposed in the past and why it's been opposed right now. Because at the end of the day, we know that it will benefit Africa, and those who do not want Africa to benefit, they will always be against it. And if you take Ethiopia, for example, at this time, the reason why Ethiopia is being seriously challenged by the West is not because Abiy is the worst prime minister right now. It's just because there's that component of Pan-Africanism in the whole concept. That's how we have to look at it. And this divide and rule has been there for centuries, and it's going to continue. But we need to challenge it. Tribal, being coming from a certain tribe is a God-given. There is nothing wrong with that. But when we take it to the extreme and think we are better than others, that's where the issue arises. And that's not to eliminate something that's natural and to replace it with Pan-Africanism. But we have to look at the benefit of being working together as Africans, and in some case even locally, right? So the education has to be there. People have to be aware of. What if you look at Somalia, for example, people with the same everything almost, right? But that tribalism is kept, and it's promoted not by the Somalis themselves only, but by the West as well, because they want to divide it. Even recently, between Farmajo and the Prime Minister, we look at how they want to use that card, that tribal card, for their benefit. So we need to be aware of this. But I also think, as Africans, we need to be more practical than just talking, because there is a saying, an Islamic saying, I will say it here. It says, do not belittle small action. Do not belittle small action. وَلَا تَحْقِرَنَّ مَعْرُوفًا. Never belittle a small thing. So we need to actually glorify and appreciate the small change. We cannot always organize ourselves and then wait, and overnight we can see a huge change to happen. It will not. That's not how it works. But look at what are the things that will help us to unify and also be more productive and elevate our people from the situation that they are in terms of poverty, education, all the other health. We can learn a huge lesson from Turkey, as an example. In 20 years, they were caught between, between two dynamics, right? With the Europeans they don't want to accept them, and the others but they worked within the last 20 years, and they are where they are right now, like a force to be reckoned with, right? So it's not something that So we could, as Africans, we have the potential, but we're not we have to look at the brain drain. The brain drain is a killer. We all live in the West. We contribute in a different ways, but we're not contributing to our countries, to our African countries. We're not bringing people together. So we need to really look at practical things to do than just talking and organizing. We need to organize, obviously, because without being organized, you can't do anything, right? But you have to organize in a certain way that will actually show some practical change in the lives of the African people, right? So that's the whole. If we really let Ethiopia down right now, from the way that we're going to be down forever, and because they know if we change in Ethiopia, Africa will change. The other thing is, I know Obanga. I appreciate his work. I've been following him and listening to him, but the OAU, the AU, I guess at this point, right? The leaders, they have to have Africa in their heart. Sometimes they go with the whims of other, desires of the West, and even in their statements and speech, sometimes it's really disappointing. As an African leaders who are leading African countries, they should stand up with, against any force that tries to manipulate and cause trouble. outright. They should say this is wrong, right? And so this is really what I want to do. But we should never belittle small things. We have to really work on making a practical change. And I really appreciate for the opportunity, and I hope to talk to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Said. Every point actually you made bang on, and then yes, we should not actually belittle every little things. We'll get there, and then you have really given a very thorough, springboard, particularly why Ethiopia has been actually a subject when at the first time actually Pan Africanism actually is trumpeted from Ethiopia. Not because actually the current prime minister is actually the worst prime minister now as we know it. Quite rightly, Saido. Thank you very much for your contribution. I have actually two, because I can't see here, I can't do it, but I've invited actually Alistair, excuse me,
Yes,
Alistair
please.
as a keynote speaker, and the other person actually, if you can, Kid and Biz, Ahmed Zakaria, if you can bring them up so that actually they are keynote speakers. Alistair, you may go now, please.
Hi, Tiz. Thank you very much for hosting this space, and I think the discussion has been fascinating, and I very much echo what Said says about tribalism. It's not just quite as simple as being one tribal or citizen or idiot. It's more complicated. So that's what I'll be talking about. So, just by way of introduction, I'm not an Ethiopian or African. You can probably tell that from my accent. I'm a Kiwi, a New Zealander. I don't have a lived experience which allows me to sort of like comment on this from an African point of view. So I'm going to address it from my own perspective. I'm a journalist, and the reason I'm here is because I've been covering this conflict on Twitter for the past sort of 8 months, 9 months, maybe even, and still am. The framing of the conversation that Tez set is very interesting, this idea of idiots, tribesmen, and citizens. I generally agree with the idea in the blog post that these are different sort of positions, but it is kind of simplified. The idea of a citizen is a concept that we know was born in Greece in the early days of democracy, before it disappeared and then reappeared hundreds and hundreds of years later, only a couple of hundred years ago. And has historic origins that probably precede this that we may have forgotten in some of ancient societies, and possibly including Ethiopia. The framing is universal and it applies everywhere. So the idea of tribalism is not a uniquely African thing or a uniquely place where you actually have tribes, as opposed to in New Zealand we have tribes. We have the Maori tribes, and they're very important in terms of their function, and they're very very important in terms of the political processes, and their strength and their integrity is something which is useful. Basically, everybody needs to belong somewhere. Now, increasingly these days, tribes are sort of multifaceted, and you have political tribes, social tribes, educational tribes, professional tribes, employer-based tribes, gender-based tribes, and social media-based tribes, just to name a few of them. So we find we fit in this. We're all a bit tribal and a bit citizen. But the question then is one of balance between those two. And the citizen framing is useful because it's a different concept in a way, and it comes from a sense of responsibility towards maintaining a sort of an orderly society, good orderly direction, as some people say, which some people use as a sort of like a rubric for God, and increasing our understanding of this is a good objective for us to strengthen in pursuit of social cohesion and the prosperity that comes from that, which is what I understand most Ethiopians are seeking from their government. Fundamentally, it's all about being a nation of laws, and we observe laws, we're protected by the law, and we need to protect the law. I mean, we can see this very obviously in the United States, where the law has fallen to pieces, and the failure of the protection of the law is causing the United States to disintegrate in many ways, in ways that a lot of us are quite scared about, not just those in the United States. So anyway, this is my area of professional interest and understanding, and what I'd like now to talk about is how this, from a journalism perspective, So this is sort of my professional expertise, sort of government and politics and so forth. And this how I think this relates to where Ethiopia is now in terms of the phase of this conflict. Ever since the war appeared to be over, I've seen an increase in tribal points of view being expressed on Twitter, in lots of different ways. More division, more people sniping at each other, in various ways. And I'm a bit concerned about this in relation in particular to the national dialogue, which is desperately needed, which is going to be extraordinarily difficult for reasons which I'm sure that the people in this space understand much more than I do. So there's 3 points I'd like to make about this. First is the war's not over yet. Afar was attacked after the ceasefire, and there are reports that Amhara is again being attacked in the west, in North Gondor. But I mean, I think anyone that understands the TPLF will realise that they will never really put down their weapons. They will never stop until they have actually been removed. And some people that I'm sort of familiar with, I mean, and I expect some of you will be, and Fitzgerald and Bronwyn Bruton recently wrote that article in Foreign Policy, which I would urge everybody to read about that. And I mean, essentially, in the end, they were calling for the removal and the arrest of the 100 people, and for the United States in particular to exercise its sanctions power to remove, to threaten the monetary basis of the TPLF's power. And I'm very strongly in agreement with them that that's something which needs to be done from the external side. But on the internal side, it's also very important for people to understand and respond to what is happening. So some of the hot war has now finished, not all of it. There's a lot of suffering and pain, but the war is now moving very much into the information space. And TPLF is very good at information warfare. I've always been astonished at how civil and polite Ethiopia's Twitter space has been, but now the threat level looks lower. I've noticed things are getting a bit loose, and I'm a bit worried about what this might mean to the dialogue. There's suffering, very real, amongst the Amhara and the Afar who've been occupied, and experienced terrible atrocities, and now face a need to rebuild. There's also division, which is not surprising, as that was the purpose of the 1991 Constitution, and it has seeded and been fed for 3 decades by TPLF activities. And they're not going to stop, and they have a strategy, and they understand this. Now, the solution, in my view, to this is dialogue between the various tribes who are, in fact, disagreeing with each other and who have issues which are unresolved with each other. And social media and Twitter, I don't think, is a good place for that dialogue to take place. Nor, in my view, as public Twitter spaces. I mean, I think both Twitter and Twitter spaces are an important component to this, but I think real dialogue needs to take place in an environment which is not performative, so where people are not seeking to be heard and seeking to be seen. To have real engagements, people need safe spaces where they have an understanding of what the rules are and what the objectives are, and then to enter into conversations which are sort of constructive. Now, I'm not an expertise in those sorts of dialogues and those sorts of facilitated dialogues, but I'm fairly certain that on the current trajectory, the TPLF is very actively building and investing in the information operations at scale. I mean, yesterday and the day before, I noticed that there was a couple of very large TPLF groups which had been launched by Dr. Jeffrey, who's sort of like one of their big Twitter Spaces guy, and one of them was completely full of Indians. Now, and it was a bit of a mystery really, but Kennedy Wandera there was from Voice of America. And I mean, maybe he was just there in order to, I think maybe he and Jeffrey were just there to encourage people to go to them. But I mean, I wonder whether they're actively recruiting sort of like a Twitter army to fight back against No More. We've seen them basically appropriate No More with a K, and trying to claim that Africa and Pan-Africanism actually belongs to Tigray, which is all a bit weird. But anyway, so that's a sort of like the surface side of the information warfare. The real dangerous side of the information warfare is the interpersonal stuff that they can do with people that are TPLF sympathizers, with people who are opposed to unity, opposed to constitutional reform, in favour of the ethnic constitution as it currently stands. And I am certain that they will be investing an enormous amount of effort and energy into basically focusing on the dialogue at this point. So the social fabric of Ethiopia is raw after 3 decades of the war, and it has many fault lines, many of them created by the TPLF, and they understand them. And to defeat them in this, there's a need to develop links between the tribes and the citizens, and to help the tribes to understand what their role is as citizens, and to deliver a counter to the divisive narratives, which will grow rapidly unopposed. I am certain of that. Anyway, and that's what I'd like to say, because I mean, I think maybe the war is won, but now the peace has to be won, and that is going to be very hard. So thank you very much for giving me the space to talk, Tez, and that was unusually for me actually a prepared statement, so hopefully it made sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Alistair. Actually, before you go, if you just simply share your views as someone actually who's knowledgeable about Ethiopia and the situation, as you put it quite rightly, that people-to-people healing should start. You were not mentioning, in fact, TPLF and the government, unlike actually many other, don't even make the distinction between the two. People are actually raising the issue of the constitution. I was cut off earlier on. You may have actually mentioned this, but probably it would help me. The constitution is the center of the evil. In Ethiopian context, what would Africa learn from that? And then what would be actually the process you think actually to change without jeopardizing universal suffrage? How could we go through the change in the last time actually the figure I got is 62% of the Ethiopian people are against the constitution, which is ethnocentric. And in fact, well over actually the 80% were, in support of particularly the removal of Section 39. That's self-determination after secession. How would we go about that? What would African nations actually learn from this process, Alistair?
Well, I think the most important thing is to realise that individual rights and individual protections at law are at the heart of basically what we call stable stable democracies. I mean, a lot of our democracies aren't that stable, so I mean, and they're still a bit of a mess. But just they're generally non-violent, and secessionist movements are sort of uncommon in them. And I mean, secessionists. I mean, I think the regional secessionist Section 39 in the Constitution is probably not a good place to start when it comes to these discussions, because you're sort of immediately focusing on the thing which is A, the most contentious, and B, which there are a large numbers of groups of people who would want to protect, because it's important to their power bases and it's important to existing power structures. So I think there's various things that are important here. One of which is, I mean, the Ethiopian Development Council came up with some extremely good guidelines, I think, for what the dialogue should involve. And I mean, those are informed by people who really know what they're talking about in this area, and they include sort of reconciliation and truth and reconciliation and understanding. And the hardest issues, like Section 39, probably should be sort of pushed back a little bit until people are ready to discuss those. And in the meantime, I think you need to have confidence building. I think people also need to realise that this is not going to be a short-term process. It's going to take a long time. But I think probably the most important thing is perhaps for us, because we are in Twitter, is to think a little bit about the tribes that we are in Twitter, and to think a little bit about who it is that we don't trust, and reach out to those groups and talk to them. Because I think even when we've had groups of people that are basically from the the Ethiopian diaspora talking to the TPLF diaspora, who are actively involved in the information warfare, it has in fact been constructive to listen to each other and to hear each other and to understand how people were feeling on the other side. And that emotional resonance that comes from that is actually quite helpful. I mean, it's not guaranteed to be so, but I think in the right context, it certainly can be an interesting experience for people to better understand each other.
Thank you very much, Alistair. I remember actually having a survey, conducted here. I don't know whether it's 400 something or 300 people over. I can't remember exactly, but on the very issue, some people think actually can be done actually overnight. I think the fact that you have mentioned, although it is an important aspect, then it has to go actually, it has to pass through the due process and the rest of it. Even though we all know actually it is one of the stumbling blocks to all the progresses that we could make. Thanks very much. Thank you very much, Alistair. I can't see actually the rest apart from Haile and Sadiq, and in fact, Ganene, is it? I can't see the rest, but I'll leave it actually to Kid and Bez
That's
actually
right.
to manage. Okay. But can I say don't add actually people from the listener, because the bandwidth which is actually now being, it's just overcrowded. So the smaller number of people actually on the speaker, probably that would help technically. I can't do that either. Thank you.
Can I speak?
I
Is
think
it my turn?
let me do this. Let's start from you, and then Antenna, and then we'll come to Sadiq. Is that okay? Go ahead. Okay. Ganema.
Ganeme. Thank you very much. I appreciate the chance. I've so long for this, and really enjoyed and entertained every aspect of the idea, and I felt like contributing something to the pool. So I have 3 points, as I see a lot people are lined up, so I don't want to just repeat some of the speakers. They already addressed some of the issues there. Tribalism versus Pan-Africanism. From childhood, I believe that I am a Pan-Africanist. From the very beginning, my dad used to be a so he shaped me that way. But when we see tribalism, it existed from the long time, from the ancient time, and from the dam trade. If we think about the Axum and the ancient trade before state formation, but the application of it is different when it comes to Africa, and the application and the manipulation of it is very different. The way the Western powers approached, so to say, the white people approached Africa to manipulate and to get closer to the people at the grassroots level, and then use the tribal leaders to sell their own people through bribery and corruption. Today, it changed its face in a different form. We don't see it, they don't say it, but the application of tribalism, it changed its face. As we can apply the same thing in America. We say that there is no racism, but there is systemic racism. And you can see it. And also, if you have kids, you would know, if you are closely talk to your children, they'll tell you how they feel. Because my children, they goes to school. They go to school when they come. I kind of evaluate and follow up their situation and their day-to-day activity at school. And the way they are teaching. If there is a white teacher in the classroom, they always put that mentality of black inferiority versus white supremacy. And the 9 years old I had, actually, she came and she said, Jesus was a white man. Does it mean black people are devils? This was the 9 years old. I was shocked. I was shocked. I used to be a high school teacher here in America, grade 9 to 12. Every time I have all kind of students in the classroom, but I try to show them, those kids, they don't know what's going on. The adults are the one who implant that kind of thinking. And similar situation, I believe, is applying in Africa nowadays. So when we think about a black person in the eyes of others, because I worked with different kind of people from everywhere, all over the world, not only Caucasians versus Chinese and others. The way they perceive the black person is weak. The way they perceive the black people, or Africa in a sense, is poverty, savagery, backwardness, disease, uncivilization, all this. This is the perception that the rest of the world they have. By the way, the first time I was called black was at Houston airport, lining up, waiting for my turn to get into a board on a plane. The Caucasian lady, she says, that one, the black person in gray shirt. Okay. So some of us, we may not feel it. Some of us, we may not experience it. Some of us, we feel it, experience it every day. But one thing we can do in a very civilized manner, it should not continue to the next generation. It should not pass into the next one. I reiterate myself. Tribalism, it used to be there. But the application, whenever it comes to Africa or black people, is different. It manipulated. It's continuing to the government level, to the society level, to Africans, to the leadership. When an African leader comes to power and start thinking as a Pan-Africanist, which is African independence, economically, politically, in every aspect, controlling the resources that Africa is rich. If we count many of the stuffs now, the resources, the material, guess what? It is the resource comes from Africa, nowhere else. We have to have in control that. We have to be in control of that. So if we criticize to each other in a non-constructive way, if we kill each other with the supply of the bullets and the rifles which the West is providing us, now the Chinese are providing that. I'm not saying something bad about Chinese, but in every gift, it looks like there is also a poison within it. So we have to be very careful and we have to be selective. We have to get together and we have to help our people, those who are in the West. We have to start helping those people from the grassroots level. We should avoid, we have to tell our people that whenever they see an educated person who is coming from the West is better than a Caucasian or a white or a light who is going to Africa. Look at the way they think, our own people, educated or not educated, in the continent of Africa. Whom do you think they think is generous? Whom do you think they can help them? The white or the educated in the West? So we have to change this first, the mentality. We have to work on that, people. We should. Having said that, let me just finalize my few words with a recommendation or a suggestion. We have to reach the freedom of Africa, which we had before slavery, in terms of humanity, in terms of harmony, and that used to be like that the history is telling us. It's not the history which was written by the West, the Caucasians, because it is a maze. It tells us how bad we are. We have to work on that one. All of you here, I know, we are speaking in a foreign language, in the West language. We know how to write it. The fight should start by writing good things about Africa, by reporting good things about Africa, because the good things will bring good things, which is my faith. So before the Ethiopian prime minister was elected, before he was in power, I kind of drafted a book. You can find it on Amazon. This is not a promotion, okay? It's called Peace Formation Without Western Mediation. So Africans know how to mediate, how to negotiate, how to form peace before the coming of the Western powers, before they introduce the savagery, the ruthlessness to African people. So this is what I can say. I know there are people lining up, and I appreciate for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Please follow me on the Twitter too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Jen May. It's great
Wow.
to hear from you, particularly actually in terms of the psychological change in our mind. The mindset has to change in order actually to take things actually forward. So that's really appreciable. And I don't see actually, apart from actually the people I mentioned earlier on. So I'll leave actually to Beth and Kate actually to address. But I just wanted to ask this question for the next speakers, if you don't mind, actually follow that through. We have said earlier on, I mean, that in the context, we've said there are three, types of people, and we're talking about literally the idiots and the tribals and the citizens. Is it possible actually to turn the idiots and the tribes men into citizenship? This is what it is proposing, and now I think I want you to reflect as an action. If we have actually people of that classified as the idiots, not in a derogatory way, but just as the character, to give them actually the character. And tribesman, this is what it said: tribesman can become a citizen through orientation, and an idiot can become a citizen by training and constant enforcement of the law. To what extent actually would that work? So, what would be my role and your role in this process? Thank you. If you may ask actually, if you may try actually to answer this question, I would appreciate.
Yeah, thank you,
Can I say
Tessa.
something?
Yeah, hold on, and actually, who is that? Sorry. Oh, Mr.
Mr.
Uban,
Bang.
please,
Yes.
please, of course.
Yeah, no, I want to say that again. Thank you, sister, to all these people who are speaking the last. Really, seriously, everyone brought up something so good, and your question, Tess, your question go along. We are not the only one. The people who want to keep Africa hostage or keep Africa thriving on tribalism in their country, there are also idiots. In America, there's idiots and tribesmen. In Europe, there are idiots and tribesmen. And most of them, they actually change them through the interest, through an education, through the rule of law, to force them to become a citizens. So that's why I say there is not only us. Wherever there's a human being, this trade is available in everywhere. And those brothers were speaking before, who, Gene, I think, will talk about the writing a book, but transformation. I really like what he said, that let's go back to free colonization, what we used to be. Honestly speaking, the African sometimes what was taken from us is not wholly, uh, it's not wholly, our cultures, but really who we are as a people. Our humanity, our dignity has been robbed from us. And it go back to the question you just said. Can we change these two groups, the idiot and the tribes? Yes, it is changeable. But the key is, like you say, some of them are through the education and some of them are through the rule of law. But in case of us in Africa, those forces who don't want African to become a citizens, they make sure that we have a lousy, backward education system. And they make sure that, they're pushing all of us actually for Africa not to have a citizen, but for all of us to go back to idiots and then the tribesmen group. So education is a key. But if you have to have an education, you have to have a system that give a good education. An example of this is Ethiopia. The education system we had in Ethiopia today is just unbelievably. It's education that which is anti-citizens, education that denies the citizens and keep people back in a tribesman, which is an advance of those people. It falls in the right of those people who want to hold us back. An education that deny you your cultures, education that deny you historically, education that really deprives you of a knowledge. If you look at it, most of the education system, even in Ethiopia, when I was a kid going to school I went to school until grade 7 in Ethiopia. And most of the school system is memorizing things, some data. There's no analytical, you are not taught to analyze things, to ask things. Simple things that, like the name, you memorize things, and when you memorize things, then you cannot analyze. Like, for example, it's a simple saying that, which country in Africa is not colonized? Ethiopia. It doesn't say why Ethiopia was not colonized. Where was the Adwa war? Why there was Adwa? They don't want Ethiopian to think of that. So we have been made that the capital of this country. So we don't analyze. So by that case, the education make us remain not moving forward. So to kind of answer your question, as you say, that these people exist in every society. In America, you have these extremist group. In Germany, you have skinheads, Ku Klux Klan, KKK group, and everywhere. And some of those are the idiots and the tribesmen. But system forced them to be a citizen by choice or by force or by the law or by education. But if we don't have an education, then we will not. And then when you have a place like where the idiots and the tribesmen take over of the countries, then what we are talking about is gone. Because those guys will not give that education. And then you end up, like the brother was talking earlier about how Congo. Think of these guys. Anyone who have Apple, iPhone, or a laptop, without a Congo, we will not have an Apple and all of these things. Think of those for a minute. Most of the natural resources that some of the West use, it come from Africa. Without Africa, those would not be. And those resources, if it was founded in some countries, in the US, or even in Japan for that matter, can you imagine how much those countries would have advanced? Switzerland is the capital city of chocolate. There's no single coca tree in Switzerland. There are things that when you look at it, it doesn't grow in those places. It will not even grow by nature. But I'm not saying we're not trading, but those people are not benefiting from it. How can a country that people don't even know what the coca tree look like can end up becoming the #1 group or producer of chocolate? And so this is the system. When we are denying, when we ourselves are not giving a quality education, then we become a prey for this group. And so I'm not talking to say I'm anti-group, but I'm really anti-injustice. And the person who is uneducated can be robbed. It's just like a blind. A blind person is helpless because someone will take away from things, they don't see it. Uneducated persons is like a blind person. You don't know what's around you. You don't know who's taking it. An educated person is a wise that who can see their surroundings, who can analyze things. Have you ever thought, have you ever wondered why, some of these advanced nations have the best education while we in here don't have anything? Because education is a power. And education in Africa has been, we've been deprived of Africa. And then some of our leaders who are leading us are these people who don't know the value of education. Some of them even bought their degree. They don't give their children, they don't give the education. And that's why you see that those who know the value of education, what do? Our politicians, they send their children abroad. And the majority citizen of the country be left behind to study this, some that are memorizing. Most of the African leaders, their children go abroad because they know the value of education. To come back to continue and advance the tribes in idiot hegemony. So education then become limited to few who can control, not the majority that who can change the society. Education has been used as a tool by foreigners. And then that makes us that we cannot even move ahead and change. Look at Ethiopia, for example. You guys who are here, they want to tell Ethiopia. As you know, Abiy was talking the other day, Prime Minister. There are 18 languages in these worlds. A script. We have more than almost nearly 200 countries. And only 18 countries out of 200 have their own language. The script, that where you can communicate writings, like a letter, an alphabet. The only one of the black people, black human beings in this world, are Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the only place that have their own script. And that script could be used for the whole peoples of the black people, the black race, for that matter, that need be. But there are some tribal men and idiots in Ethiopia who don't want to see that letter, that alphabet. So that we have that within our countries in Ethiopia. We are talking about how we can transforming an education. Ethiopia is one of those. Why then, if you look at why did Ethiopia then end up becoming the holy country that out of the continent of Africa they have their own script, Amharic Fidels? If you ask that, because back then there weren't tribesmen, there was a citizen men and women of Ethiopia who were clever enough, who were wise enough, who could see a bigger picture to say that, let's create an Ethiopian script. And here have the what we call Amharic Fidel. Because they did not rely on outsiders. Ethiopian created the Ethiopian alphabet. Not only that, they created an Ethiopian letters, like what you call numbers. And Ethiopian numbers. Not only that, they have their own calendars. Not only that, they have their own even counting of the time. It started 1 o'clock in the morning. They call it 7 a.m. The Ethiopians say, you know what? The normal thing which is good for us, when the sun come up in the morning, let's count it as a 1. And then when it end up, you count all the hours to become 12 hours. They have created their own script. They have their own calendars. They have their own letters, numbers. And these things, if you go and ask many Africans, they don't even know that Ethiopia has that. If you ask the black peoples who are taking us a slave in Brazil, in America, in Europe, in the Caribbean, they don't even know that. Because by knowing and letting them know that, it gave them a dignity. Because the story which were told to them is, you African slaves, you did not have a language, you didn't have a culture, leave alone have a script. You are nothing. The time that you know God is when we come with the cross. The time that you guys have a language is the time that we put you in a boat to go to other places. You were never been. That part of Africa, of building Lalibela and Aksum, in King Pass, you go to Timbuktu, you go to some of these Africa, those things were taken from us. Even like pyramids. There were some of these kings in the pyramid in Egypt that who were, when you look and take away the mummified, these are the black people have Rasta. You wouldn't have a white man with the Rasta hair. That education was really taken away from Africa. And I want to come back to this. When we talk about these things, it is go back to some people want to advance others. And the one who are uneducated, the one who don't have the knowledge, the one who cannot analyze things, end up becoming a victim. Imagine if the whole continent of Africa being told or being taught giving the quality of education, we would not be the continents that be left in the dark. We would end up being a continent that where, brain drain, the most brilliant among us go back to go and use for the West. We wouldn't end up being where we are. We are walking on abundant resource with empty stomach, empty head, no knowledge, and we become a machinery. The world is using the most sophisticated machinery to feed themselves. A combine can, finish 200 hectares in a day, 500 hectares in a day. They use the most sophisticated weapon or machinery to feed themselves. In a case like us, Ethiopian, we still use the ancient time like cows to harvest. And we use their moderate AK-47 to destroy each other, and we use the ancient tool to feed each other. This is not just by accident. It is well done. It's well designed, well thought out, well laid out. Why is it that we use these sophisticated weapons to destroy each other in ancient time, not to feed each other or build up each other? This is the problem. And this is the problem because we've been held hostage by foreigners, because those foreigners that, make sure that we don't get educated. They make sure that we have the idiot, the tribe running us, ruling us, controlling us, giving us the direction. And that's why you see whether you go to East Africa, you go to West Africa, you go to North Africa, you go to South Africa, all of this is the same. Why? Because education. A blind individual can be robbed because they cannot see things. And we've been robbed because we didn't see it. Now, I'm glad that you guys are talking about it. And again, what brother was saying is not wholly a talk, my brothers and sisters. Had we been organized as a people, as a human being, or a black human being, or as an Africans, the misery that we have now would have ended a long time ago. Had the Ethiopian been organized as an Ethiopian citizens, we would not have a war within ourselves, the Tigray region and the rest of the Ethiopia. Had Ethiopian been organized and led by a constitution, say we the citizens, 7,000 schools would have never been destroyed in Afar, in Tigray, in Amara region. Had we been organized as a citizen, as a peoples, we would have been a better place than being a beggar country. All of these are a build-up of that. It is not by mistake. It's not only that. There are a group of people who want to thrive on. So I think that this discussion, as brother was saying, it's not only a talk. We had a brother, the other day, a few weeks ago, from an African American, who said that there's this saying in America that, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is there or heard it, will you really know the tree has fallen? The only time you know that the tree has fallen if you hear it. The only time that we will hear the tree has fallen in Africa is when we are listening. Are we listening? Not to the noise outside. Are we listening not to the West or not to the other one? Are we listening to ourselves? Are we back into our heart and our mind? Do we really know our responsibility? Do we know that by being born as a human being, you owe a debt? By being born in a country, wherever you are born as an Ethiopian, you owe a debt to the land that you are born in, to everyone that's around you, to every living thing that is around you. Do we know that? Are we listening to ourselves? And so it is not about the blaming, but about seeing a bigger picture. And we look at our surrounding, things are not perfect. It's not because of what is perfect. It's not perfect intentionally. It was done that way. It was organized that way. And there's people who want to maintain that forever. And if you don't say it's wrong, they will continue to thrive. Africa has been like a dead carcass. Have you guys, like all of you who are driving, do you ever thought and go somewhere you found that an animal is being dead and all the other living like animals, they eat that because there's no owner. Africa's been almost like a dead carcass for centuries. Like there's no owner. The first resource that a foreigner looked for in Africa was not coltan, not cocoa, not gold, not mining, no diamond, not uranium. It was the human being, African human being. Their strength, their wisdom to go and take them away and use them to build what we call today a First Nations, first countries. And those people who built that, they may have been dead. And those who are part of that, they may be dead. But there are some people who follow their own idea. They are still alive. And they want to maintain the system. They want to keep